And gentlemen, my name is Gareth, and it's just going to be a solo cast today. But don't you worry, don't you worry, I will keep you very much entertained because today we are watching Week 7 of the Ember Blaze League, featuring the Seals versus Quantum. And man, oh man, we got a crazy 1v1 going on right now. We got Outrage versus Char. I believe that is the jungler for Seal going head to head against the mid laner of Quantum. So, you know, usually we see two of the same roles go head-to-head against each other, but regardless, we are going to see Lee Sin into Victor, which is interesting. You know, typically, you want to draft a ranged character because these ARAMs can be very unforgiving, but regardless, Lee Sin going to find an early engage onto this Victor, but that Gravity Storm is going to come out, and that is, it's actually not going to be too much damage at all, and Lee Sin's going for the kill. Look at that, before the minions have spawned, the first blood will be drawn, and look at that, the Seals are able to secure their side selection. So a very, very quick 1v1 there. I don't think it's the speed run record. I don't know what the fastest run is, but that was quite fast for the Seals. I'll be honest, I was gonna say that these 1v1s tend to favor the ranged champions because they could play slower, but I guess if you're Lee Sin, it just does not matter. It just does not matter. My goodness. You know, I guess we can see that. You know, Char, they decided to go for the Lost Chapter instead of, you know, maybe some more early power. And the Lee Sin did, in fact, go for that Guardian's Horn, which, if you didn't know, little ARAM tip from yours truly, that is one of the most, if not the most, cost-effective item in the entire game across any game mode. So, yeah, if you're ever playing some ARAM Mayhem, please pick up a Guardian item. It's absolutely cracked. But that aside, again, we are going to be taking a look at Quantum going head-to-head against the Seals. Seals do get their side selection, and I'm not too sure if they do favor the red or blue side, but we do have some very fun topics to talk about in between, you know, in between the games here. And I'm going to start off with my personal favorite and something that I tend to ask a lot of people, but we get a lot of really cool answers. And this one is definitely no different, but that was, what non-ultimate ability would you take from League of Legends and use it in real life? I asked a couple of the Quantum players, and let's see here. They said, so Fox, the support, would take the Pike W to go invisible and to move faster. They also said that so that they could rob banks with their ADC, but you know, maybe I'm not supposed to say that. The ADC said more or less the same thing. They would take Sivir Q, Graves Q, or Gangplank Q to shoot stuff, or take Graves W to be a magician or to rob banks, and you know, they just have a free smoke bomb. You know, I think there's something going on with the Quantum players. I think they just really want to rob a bank together. But anyway, maybe they should start playing some Rainbow Six Siege. I feel like I feel like that's probably the game for that. And the coach would take Zillion E to be faster. Now, it's interesting that they said that they didn't take, or sorry, that they didn't mention that they would take Zillion E to slow someone down, which is interesting. But that does kind of line up because when I was talking about the coach and, you know, just kind of about why they were coaching the team and, like, you know, where they see the team going the next few years, and they were like, hey, yo, you know, everyone's got lives of their own, and at the end of the day, they just want to be there to help the team get up to the next level and just not be too strict about it, because there's a lot of very strict coaches, and, you know, little bit of a lore drop. I used to compete, actually. Wasn't very good, but I did have a couple competitive games going on. I was a support substitute, but anyway, the coach that I had for our sessions was very, very strict. So I can absolutely see what he's saying when it comes to not being a very strict coach. You know, like not cracking the whip over everyone if they're not listening to every single word they say, which does let the players kind of, you know, chillax, play a little bit more relaxed. But on the other hand, the coach did mention to me that the team has had some trouble listening in the past, so maybe they've you know, adjusted their attitudes a little bit, and they are gonna listen to the coach because the coach is pretty darn good at what he does. Yeah, we won't go into his personal details, but he did end up telling me some really cool things that he does in real life in regards to coaching, and he's definitely a very skilled player. He also used to compete, so that definitely does help out with knowing, oh, pardon me, what goes on behind the scenes of putting together a team and actually playing in something like this. So yeah, definitely a very good guy. Awesome stuff coming from him. And we do also have another thing with April Fool's skins, but we won't talk about that just yet. I want to keep you on here for as long as I can, but I do think that we have some other answers as well. So let me just scroll up a little bit, because I did end up getting a hold of the Seal Enjoyers, but they did not respond to me until like a couple minutes ago. So let's see. Mundo W and Mundo Cleaver apparently is the popular answer. Someone else would take Nunu Snowball and Snowball around everywhere instead of driving. Okay, see, the Nunu Snowball, that makes sense. The Mundo W and the Mundo Cleaver, I'm very scared to ask why. Yeah, here, you know, we'll say that. We'll say that. Any reason why they would take Mundo Q? I'm afraid to ask. I have a good idea of why they would take the Mundo Q, but we're gonna just ask them anyway. But Mundo W, that's pretty darn handy, you know. Like if you're out there shoveling and you know you accidentally hit yourself in the head with a shovel, you know, you just pop W and you're good to go. Or well, I guess you'd pop the Mundo W before doing something dangerous, but then if it does happen, you're a okay. And then ooh, interesting. Okay, that's gonna come up later. That's gonna come a little bit later when we talk about the April Fool skins. But those are some pretty good answers. Those are some pretty good answers coming from the Seals. I wonder who said those, but actually, you know what? If I had to guess, it'd probably be the top laner. But regardless, that was the 1v1. The side selection is uh taken, you know, I believe Seals, I want to say they're going to be going on blue side, but I'm not too sure. Quantum Legion Gaming going to be taking whatever they're given, and regardless, we're going to be seeing a very fine match. One thing I do want to keep in mind is that unfortunately Quantum Legion Gaming, they are unfortunately 0-6, but they're not letting that deter them. One of their main strengths is their determination. They are still ready to get back in the ring no matter how many losses they get, and Fox said to me personally, the only way for them to go is up. So stay tuned with that. We'll be back after a quick little break. See you soon. All right, hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. After that quick little break, I do think that the sides have been determined. That is going to be Quantum on the blue side and Seal on the red side, which is very interesting, you know, although I guess it does make sense they are able to secure last pick. And speaking of, let's get into the picks themselves. So we are going to see Sivir locked in first for Quantum, which I do think does make sense because Victor, actually, wait, no, this might actually be a counter pick because Chrome, the ADC for the side of Seals, plays a lot of Sivir. So actually, that does make sense that they're trying to get it off the table. And with this being a best of three, they are, you know, obviously being in Fearless Draft as well. So the Sivir will be off the table permanently, though they do leave that way up, which is a very, very much contested pick for their support, I do believe, yeah. Wait, no, the ADC does also play away. My goodness, my notes are a little on the messy side, so I apologize about that. But if I had to guess, they're probably going to draft the jungler next. I do believe they play a lot of Silas, Wukong, Vi, Trundle, Nasus, a little bit of Teemo actually, but we're probably not seeing the Teemo. If I had to guess, oh, it's tough. I want to say Silas, because it's a very good pick. You know, Wukong's banned out. He's going to be the Ambessa, which is interesting. I don't know if their top laner plays a crazy amount. I mean, I didn't find it in their match history, but they do play a lot of like the brawly champions, right? Like Zehen, Jax, a lot of Jax, a lot of Zehen, a little bit of Aatrox, so it makes sense that they are picking up the Ambessa. But we'll see. It's going to be returned with a Vex, which is a pretty solid answer, right? Vex's whole thing, she counters movement, and Bessa moves a lot. Has some decent range, you know, not often as much as Hui, but Vigar is actually a really fun pick. I don't think it's going to have as much range as the Vex. Might not have a lot of the same reset potential as Vex does. You know, if there's a very messy fight, Vex could very easily just clean up. That being said, Vigar is one of the best characters in the game at hitting R and just saying goodbye APC or goodbye ADC. You're going back to Mountain. So I I do like the Vigar pick quite a bit. The Nautilus is going to be some really nice peel. It's going to set up a bit of a kill lane for the Sivir, but typically we don't see the Sivers in kill lanes because Sivir is kind of just like a neutralizer. It's like it is the I'm going to sit back and I'm going to hit minions for 20 minutes champion. That being said, I don't think that Quantum is very keen on roaming. When I was talking to the support, they said that, you know, they started doing it, like it is in their minds, but they don't think it's going to be their next patch. I'm a little indifferent to that. The coach was saying that it is going to be around next patch, but ADCs aren't going to die as much. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But I do like the Nautilus here because if you do decide to roam, he's definitely a very good ganker, right? He's got 3 forms of CC plus a point and click ulti. That is honestly one of the best tools in the entire game, in my opinion, at locking someone down and essentially getting a guaranteed engage on them. And especially for Vigar, right? Who's a very mobile laner. If you can hold someone down for 2, even 3 seconds, they are dead well before that stun is over. Like Vigar could turn a champion into miss in the snap of a finger. Sivir as well, again, if the roams are going to happen, I think the Sivir is going to be relatively safe. Taric is very interesting, though, because usually you want to draft Taric against, you know, very high DPS comps, because that ulti does take some time to, you know, drop down and then actually take effect. Vigar is, he's not, he doesn't have very high DPS. He's got crazy burst, but he does not have insane DPS. He's good against the Sivir. And as well, you know, Dazzle, generally one of the better stuns in the game, in my opinion. It's got, you know, theoretically infinite range if you buffer it right. And with Mbessa having so many dashes, I could see a very possible setup where Mbessa is just going to ult someone, Taric dazzles, you know, gets the dazzle prepared, and then the second that the target is finished being suppressed by the public execution, they're now stunned, and Mbessa can just continue to wail on them. Xerath is going to be drafted as well, which is going to give this team a crazy amount of poke. Like they are going to win the poke game, like hands down. There is no questions asked. Away and Xerath, like you are gonna have to play so far back or pick up a Kennick Rookern or a Force of Nature as soon as humanly possible, because this neutral game is not gonna be very fun for you. That being said, the Shen being picked up is interesting. I'm a big Shen glazer. I'm going to start off by saying that, but I don't know how it is into Mbessa. I mean, granted, I'm not really a big top lane player, so maybe that's why I don't understand the matchup, but it is going to be locked in anyway. And, you know, regardless, even if the lane is garbage, which, you know, in my opinion, I think Mbessa is a huge lane bully, you're going to have to give up CS if you even want to live, let alone actually survive in the lane. So maybe the goal is to just say, all right, Mbessa, you know, you do whatever you want top lane. I'm going to go roam around the map with my TP and ulti. And with a Nocturne picked up as well, I could see some insanely potent ganks from the side of Quantum, you know, right? Like lights are out, and then you see the Nocturne coming at you. Then not only is that bad, now you've got a Shen ulting right on top of them, and now it's an instant 2v1, right? Or if their laner is there, it's going to be a 3v1 really quick. And the dive potential on this comp for the for the side of Quantum is absolutely ridiculous. That being said, they are going to draft the set on the side of Seals, which is interesting, because is this now an Ambessa jungle, which I wouldn't be surprised at. You know, if we take a look at my notepad, um, never mind. No, I'm completely clueless. I don't think Set can jungle. Could Ambessa do it? Very possibly. You know, she's got a lot of AoE. She doesn't have mana. I think it's possible. You know, you start red side, or sorry, you start top side, because I do believe that seals are on red side. So you just start top side. You know, get your red, hop over the wall. Yeah, because you could make the red buff into the bush, use an ability, hop back over the wall into Krugs, speed up your clear a little bit, maybe smite on the, you know, smite mid hop to really optimize your clear. I could see that actually kind of working out. Is it faster than a Nocturne though? Honestly, maybe. Nocturne is not the craziest champion ever. I mean, they've got a fast clear, right? But in the early levels, they are kind of slow. And set into Shen, I think it's still pretty rough for Shen because he's not really a crazy dueling champion. And Set does get a lot of regen from that passive. And with Shen's trading patterns, coming up like what once every 15 seconds, where he ease in, Qs for the attack speed, hits you 3 times, and then backs off. I don't think it's that bad for the Set, right? Obviously, still Set favored because he likes to fight a lot more, but it is maybe a little bit better for the Shen because, of course, he has that W to block all of Set's auto attacks. So maybe that's the theory. It's just a theory. It's just a game theory, as they say. But regardless, we are going to be seeing where everyone is going in just a couple minutes. You'll have to join us back after a short little break. I'm going to get my notes together, and you get your popcorn, get your drink of choice, get whatever you need to watch this amazing games between the Seals and Quantum. We'll be back after this short little break. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the Quantum team versus the Seal team, and we are going to be spectating this amazing match, Week 7 Ember of the Ember Blaze League, excuse me. And man, oh man, it turns out that it is actually an Ambessa jungle, so we were definitely right about that. Shen into set, I do believe it's set favored, and then Vigar into Xerath is a little interesting. I do think it is Xerath favored in the early game, but I do think that once in the late game, if the Vigar, or probably if and when the Vigar does get close to that Xerath, that they are going to be able to kill them pretty darn easily, because of course, the Nautilus is going to make this super duper simple to get onto basically anyone that the Seals have drafted. That being said, looks like Ambessa probably not gonna be knowing that the chickens will be taken. Ooh. Maybe they are going to figure it out here as the Nautilus is back, and this could be a very early first blood. They're going to start off with the root. Is this going to be the kill or a flash forced out? Not quite, but it is going to get the camp taken, I would imagine. Ambessa's sticking around a little bit, but is going to have a very rude awakening and is going to look to go and take the Nocturne's Raptors, but will they be fast enough? The Vigar is shoving in the wave. They could probably catch the Ambessa if they felt threatened, which wouldn't be ideal for the Ambessa. But, you know, it could just be a split map situation. Down to the bot lane, though, you know, kind of like we were saying before, before the draft started off, is, of course, the Sivir is actually pretty comfortable being left alone. You know, it's a lane neutralizer. Nothing you can really do to Sivir is going to keep her down for so long. So, it's not too bad. Nautilus is going to make their way back to lane as the Dazzle does miss, so this could be a good engage time. But as the Ambessa is going to clear those Krogs, we could see a bot lane gank pretty darn soon. As Shen is going to be going in for a nice little bit of a trade, but he takes a haymaker to the face. Not the best thing in the world. But as we take a look around, I would assume that this Vigar is going to go Rod of Ages. That being said, I feel like Vigar in a setting like this is definitely a power pick, so we could see a full glass cannon. I don't know if you really build Malignant, excuse me, on Vigar. But I feel like if you are going to go for something snowbally, that could be the play. But over here, we are going to be seeing a bit of a snowball in the jungle. And Ambessa just barely getting away. Going to force the flash from Nocturne. If they don't get the kill, this is bad. But they do force the flash as well and get the kill. Nocturne grabbing that first blood. Tark flashes away as well as Vigar takes a trip down. That is definitely not the start you want if you are the Seals. But this is definitely a huge swing of confidence for Quantum. Because, again, they are starting off this game 0-6. They've never won a game so far. And definitely their determination is absolutely their biggest asset. So I'm hoping that this is going to help them kind of believe in themselves a little bit more. Up on the top side, though, Shen not super duper happy with this one. The lane is going to bounce back towards that set, which could make this difficult, but Ambessa is on the bottom side of that jungle, so it is going to be a little bit harder to make that play happen. That being said, though, some you know, the first backs are coming in. Just going to be able to pick up some mana. That's not too bad. I would assume that you would honestly want to go tier in this situation. Like, obviously you need the Lost Chapter, right? Like, that is just a must-have for, I mean, really any mage. But in terms of the first item, I don't think going a tier would be too awful here. Because, you know, if we assume that the Nautilus is just going to run around like they did when the game started, I don't imagine that Sivir's got a lot of kill pressure on her own, especially when you have a Tark nearby. So honestly, maybe going that tier and just looking to poke the Sivir down is maybe the way to go. Gets you some nice mana, could build into Seraphs, which, you know, with the team that Quantum has drafted, obviously the Nocturne has a lot of burst, Vigar has a lot of burst, that shield could save you. Up at the top lane, though, I'm sure the Shen wished that he had a shield because it's just not enough. His set pummels him into the ground, looking like Matt from Wii Boxing. As that's going to be the second blood of the game, but first blood for the Seals. Vigar, tempo interrupted, as the Ambessa is lurking nearby mid. I don't think they have enough health to die, but we have seen some crazy things in this tournament so far, so maybe it is in the cards. But Nocturne maybe looking to find a bit of a cheeky gank, but without any baby cage available in the mid lane, that is going to be one of the harder ganks to pull off. So nothing crazy going on there, but Fox is opening up, heading towards mid lane, maybe looking to hold the wave for the Vigar, maybe looking to try to scout where the Ambessa could be, maybe trying to clear vision from the Raptors, excuse me, as we did see Ambessa drop a ward in there very early on into the game. Regardless, bit of a slower start here, you know, as to be expected, right? We have a bunch of scaling champions that were drafted here. I do think that you know, the longer this goes on, I do think that Quantum is going to be very happy with that. Obviously, giving the Vigar a little bit more time to stack is definitely going to go, you know, put in a lot of extra damage for this team. But actually, you know what? Something we'll probably talk about actually is custom, or not quite custom skins, but actually just April Fool's skins in general. Because one of the teams was saying that Nightcap Nautilus would be a really good skin, and it's just Nautilus with pajamas on. And I actually thought that was really genius. And we'll probably talk about some of the other April Fool's skins a little bit later, but one of the other skins that I thought of was Lizard Amumu, and it's just regular Amumu, but he's got a lizard costume on, and he uses his tongue instead of a bandage toss. Now, a couple of the players thought it was disgusting. I think I'm cooking up a storm. So in the chat, let me know, would you cop the Lizard Amumu? I don't know, I think it sounds pretty fire, but something that's also going to be really fire is this double gang situation. Can they manage to get the kill before this goes sour for the top lane? That's going to be the flash, but it's just not enough. And there goes Vygar hitting that ult button up at the top lane, though. I mean, Ambessa wishing that they had the ult button is not going to make it happen, as Shen just barely survives. Does have to commit the flash, but over in the mid lane, the Xerath committed their flash as well, but they did not get away. They're not as tanky, and that is going to be numbers for the side of Quantum, which is going to lead to a free first dragon. And again, right, as Ambessa is showing topside, they really have, or Seals don't really have any answer here to stop this dragon. But Vygar sticking around, maybe that could be a bit of a mistake, because they will be getting a later recall off, and that is going to allow the Xerath to maybe get a couple tower platings for themselves. They do have that Lost Chapter in hand, so I think they are going to be perfectly comfortable using a bit of mana to push this wave out and really put Vygar in a bad spot. That being said, we are going to see Ambessa invade on the top side, trying to find any camps at all, but there's just nothing. The Nocturne's taken everything aside from a Gromp, but that's barely a consultation prize when, these past couple of invades from Ambessa have just not gone their way, which is a little unfortunate. But if you are Quantum, that is absolutely phenomenal, because Red Sharky being comfortably ahead, almost 1,000 gold is, it's nothing too crazy, but I think that it is going to start to matter, because they do have that time at online, is going to speed up the Nocturne's clear infinitely. That being said, another big trade to the top lane, as Ambessa is heading up there too. I don't think Shen is going to be able to get out of this when they have no flash, and they can only ult a teammate, but you can't really ult against this comp, and that's going to be Xerath committed as well. This poor Shen is being kicked while they're down, and that is going to be the kill. It's not going to be the kill, never mind. The Haymaker is just not charged up enough, and the Ambessa just barely survives. Tarek's even heading up there as well. They're going to try to finish off the kill, but I think the Shen is going to back well before that is actually going to happen. A big streak of good luck for Quantum there, and the Seals are going to have to try a little bit harder to kill this top laner. I do think that they are going to want to pay attention towards this Vygar, though. Definitely not as scary yet, but you want to stop this champion before they really get rolling, because, I mean, we've all had those experiences where we're doing good in our lanes. We're like, a couple kills up, pretty decent CS lead, mind you, and then the mid lane Vygar just comes in, hits the ulti button, and our entire health bar is just gone. And we can't explain it, and our 0-12 Yasuo mid lane is just not talking, and it's bad. So they're going to have to try to focus down this tiny Master of Evil as soon as possible. But the bot lane wave situation is looking pretty darn good. Obviously, Sivir is not really a huge fighting champion, but in the early game, I don't think Hui is generally the scariest thing, especially when you do have a little bit of attack speed. But with a call in the inventory, it wouldn't surprise me if Sivir is just saying, yeah, just go somewhere else. That being said, we are going to see a nice ultimate onto the Vygar. The set flash engage as well. That is going to be a lot of damage, a lot of CC. Ultimate committed as well, but Nocturne is still going to get the kill and does get out, but the near sight is just working in their favor. And set going to be taken down super duper low. That's just one Vygar ult away from death. Haymaker probably going to be online at this point, as Xerath is trying to find any kills at all. It's just not going to happen, and now Shen going to turn their attention towards the Nocturne, but the Sivir is here, the gang is here, and that is a very, very dead Xerath, and that is going to be a nice kill picked up for the Shen, and honestly, you deserve it, man. You had so many mishaps up at the top side in this opening parts of the game. You were ganked by literally everyone on the team, aside from Hui, and he's the APC rather, so definitely getting a kill is going to feel very, very good. Honestly, you know what? If we have any Shen players in the chat, all two of you, let me know what you would want to go in this situation, right? Obviously, you want to rush Tabbies as soon as possible, but is it worth to go Bramblefest in this situation, because it cuts, sets passive healing and cuts the W shield? Let me know. Let me know, because I would actually be very interested to find out. But regardless, we are going to see the Shen walk back up top. Yeah. honestly, now that the Grubs are taken as well, big advantage for the side of Quantum as well. They got all three, which is super duper nice. We are going to see things kind of slow down, but as I say that, you know, top laners be top laners. They're still going to keep trading no matter what the game state is, and I do think that Shen is kind of coming out on top. Again, no tabbies, which is really scary. I'm not going to lie to you, because if they're doing all that damage with a wave of minions and just the empowered Q, I wonder what they're going to be able to do with tabbies and with some extra armor items. And honestly, is it worth to go, not really, never mind. I was gonna say, is it worth to go Randu and Zoman, but they don't, but for the side of the Seals, they don't really have any critical strikers. The slow would certainly be nice to try to get the set away from your carries, and same with Ambessa a little bit. We are gonna see Nautilus in a bit of trouble, but he could always hook the wall to get away. Xerath also gonna be coming down for this one. Maybe this is gonna be a big play, but they are going to opt to back off. You know, this Nocturne CS lead is building. The gold lead up 1.3k in the jungle, so this Ambessa has to get the farming back on track. You know, Nocturne is already a full level on the Ambessa. Not too crazy now, but it really is going to start to, you know, make some waves once this level 2 ulti does come online for the Nocturne. And as we take a look at some more items, nothing really completed yet. I would imagine that the set is going to be able to get their Triforce on the next back. But as of right now, Shen still looking to be building up to that Titanic Hydra. Honestly, not too bad. Personally, I like going... actually, no, I do think that Titanic Hydra is not too bad here. It does give you a lot of pushing power. It gives you a little bit of dueling power. Maybe this is the standard Shen build as well. Again, I don't play a huge amount of top lane Shen. Much more of a support Shen kind of guy. Oh, that's kind of fallen out of favor, but... we are going to see that, not Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Why would you ever go Rylai's on Veigar? We are going to see that Rod of Ages, as well as a tier picked up for Veigar, which is interesting. I haven't really seen a lot of them build a tier as of recently, but up on the top lane, it's another big scrap from these two meatheads that love to fight constantly. And actually, there's a bit of an interesting tidbit of information for DXBS, the top laner of Seals, but we'll get to that a little bit later, as the second dragon is going to be the main focus for all of these players, and Fox is going to be lurking around in the bush, does get stunned up with the Aftershock. It's going to keep him alive just a little bit longer. Xerath ulti going to be committed now. Nautilus dropping down very low, but the ultimate might finish off the kill. That is going to be a free dragon for the side of Quantum. They're happy with that when Nautilus does go down, but I do think that they are insanely strong, and that Ambessa bites the dust super fast, and Hui is forced underneath that tower with Xerath running for the hills, trying to survive that absolutely crazy counter engage. Up at the top lane though, nothing too crazy though. I mean, the Shen does get forced off the wave, which does kind of suck, but at the end of the day, again, you're not really hoping to win this lane. You're just hoping to go even, if not slightly down in CS. So the fact that the Shen is only 400 gold behind the set, that's pretty darn good, in my humble opinion. But definitely a big spike for the Tark that is going to be picked up, which is the Locket. Definitely one of the most underrated items in the game. I think that a lot of the supports are, I mean, obviously it's valuable, right? But I don't think that a lot of people are going to be focusing it nearly as much as they should. But again, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I am completely, you know, an iron player. But that's my take on the Taric, or at least the Locket, as it were. But as we, again, we're going to take a look at the map. Nothing too crazy is going on here. So I think it's really just important to take a look at what these next item spikes are for these champions, and take a look at what dragons are going to be coming up next. It is going to be the Ocean Soul. I feel like if Quantum gets it, it's not the worst thing in the world, but if Seal can turn this game around and grab that Ocean Soul for themselves, that is going to be so much fighting power. That is going to be a disgusting amount of fighting power, because Set can abuse it, and Bessa can use it, and you know what? Low-key Tar can abuse it too, because he wants to get in there and start smacking you upside the head with that Crystal Hammer, and with all of his most of his auto attacks, reducing the cooldown of his spells after he casts the spell. It could add up to a lot of damage and a lot of healing for him, which is actually really underrated, especially with that Q mana cost being so high. I think they could be able to find quite a lot of mileage out of it, but with Quantum already 2 dragons up, it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for the side of the Seals. Regardless, though, we are going to see another bit of a trade in the top side. Again, these two top laners are just continuing to go at it. I wouldn't be super surprised if we did see the Shen take a bit of a roam here, because nothing's going on top lane. Waves pushing in, but we are going to be seeing something going on in the mid lane, as this Xerath is dove under the Throne Tower, and they cannot do anything down to the bot lane. Though more action to follow, but it is going to be stopped short as they are right up in their tower, and the Ambessa is here Red Sharky takes a good bit of damage from it, but honestly, you're really happy with that one. Up on the top lane, though, Chocolate Bear gonna get ulted under the tower, has to commit that flash to stay alive, but this set is actually in a very bad spot. The Shen is abusing them. They've got so much extra health, and they do have that Titanic Hydra, which is gonna be a lot of extra damage. Sivir left to fend for themselves. This could be a bit of a dive from the Seals. I wouldn't be surprised if they want to get some revenge. They do have that Taric ulti as well to really make this go in their favor if they want to commit it. Sivir does have ulti, so she can run away. That is going to be the spell shield on the stun, but not the public execution. That's going to be a big ult onto the Sivir. They are going to have to flash away, but that Taric ulti has already been popped, and it is running out. And do they make it out alive? Yes, they do. Up at the top lane, though, Chocolate Bear going to continue fighting this set, but this time, Nautilus is there to make something happen over in the mid lane. A nice trade from Vigar, but it looks like DXBS is going to have to just take the wave, take what they got. But over down on the bot side, though, that is a huge investment, absolutely colossal investment from the side of the Seals, and it did not do anything. And it's really unfortunate because you need this Ambessa to get ahead. That's a giant snowball champion. You need to get the Ambessa ahead so that they could just kind of roll over absolutely everyone. And again, the fact that an ADC, the squishiest role in the game, is able to stay alive through all that is genuinely surprising. They did have to commit the flash. Yes, they did have to commit the barrier as well, and the ulti, but at the end of the day, that is worth, because that's more time that the Sivir can stay on the map and continue to farm and get their items online, which is definitely not what you want to see after you commit three ultis, excuse me, for the side of the Seals. But regardless, we are going to see map slow down once again. I want to say that this Shen is going to be the next target of a gank, because unfortunately they have received like, what, 2 or 3 ganks at this point from multiple members, and the Ambessa, oh no. I thought it was going to be doable, but they are just going to opt to continue clearing as, again, that Nocturne gold lead is going to be spiking just a bit, as that is a nice cage onto the Ambessa. That's going to be almost, that is a kill, never mind. The Vigar is just going bonkers. Definitely scaling a lot faster than what I anticipated, but this Ambessa going to be feeling it now. Something has to change, and something has to change right now for the Seals, because this is not going to get any easier down at the bot side, though. The Dazzle is going to miss from the Nautilus, and that is going to be another free kill for the Nocturne, but that is going to be the flash away from the Taric. I don't think they want to dive this, but no, Taric ulti is going to be in their hands, but that's a nice Dazzle, and an even nicer Xerath ulti is going to take out the Nautilus, but Nocturne's going for it! What an absolute mad lad! He doesn't care if he's going to die for it. He wants that kill, and he gets rewarded with a nice freebie. Xerath, though, is able to pick up the return kill, which is definitely not what we want. But wait a minute, he's hanging around the bot side, though. That's so much damage. And now Xerath is forced to respond here, as Chrome alone is going to have to back. Like, they cannot stay here any longer. The Vigar's too strong. Up at the top side, though, the action doesn't stop. Shen took a tower against the set, and that is going to be the Dragon started. But at this point, I think that Quantum is fine to give it up. They've already done their damage. They've given so much to these extra fights. So I think they're happy maybe just to give this one up. But for the Seals, it is going to be a nice little bit back into the game. Fox is going to find out the hard way that they have this warded up, and this is basically theirs. It's got their name on it, in fact. Is going to be picked up. So that's not too bad. But Taric maybe getting a little bit too aggressive, but the hook misses. Oh, that's a heartbreaker. That would have been a kill onto Bread, which would have been very, very nice. Very pleasant, shall I say. Just to kind of spice up my lingo a little bit, but nothing crazy going on. Wei going to be swapping over to the mid lane, which does make sense. I think that Xerath is going to be a little bit happier in this longer lane, so we can have more time to run away from the Nocturne, as the Nocturne going to find a Paranoia, and Wei can just sit there and watch. There is nothing they can do. I mean, heck, they can't even watch. They're paranoid. They can't even see it happen. They just see someone, you know, they hear the Nocturne ulti, and then someone's health bar just drops to 0, and they're like, well, I tried. Vigar going to be able to catch Ambessa in the baby cage, but it's not going to be met with any aggression, as they're just looking to take the chicken to push this CS lead even farther into the Nocturne's hands. Or claws, rather. Or blades. Listen, whatever. It's in Nocturne's favor, which is what's important. And we are going to be seeing Chocolate Bear kind of invest some time into securing this jungle. Maybe looking for a bit of a play. But nothing too wild. Of course, Set is going to be taking the Ninja Tabbies plus Black. That's a nice spike for him. But Chocolate Bear is going to be up in the top lane, though he gets ulted by the Ambessa. They have to leave now. They are going to be ulted by Set as well. There's no leaving. Do they have a taunt? Do they have a flash? Do they have anything? And they're not going to commit either at a good time. Unfortunately, they, you know, they just kind of accept their death. Maybe the E was on cooldown, but they definitely want to save that flash for a bit later. That is going to be, unfortunately, the kill onto the Shen. Not the scariest member on the side of Quantum, but definitely a very, very nice shield for when this dive comp from Seal does get onto the Sivir, or even Vigar for that matter. That is going to be a lot of save potential that has just been wiped out for the next, 15 seconds. So, Seal, if there is something to do, it has to be now. Set is going to be able to collect some nice turret plates, which is going to kind of even that gold gap, or, potentially swing it in their favor. But in terms of items here, of course, Nocturne going to be picking up that experimental hex plate plus the stride breaker. So it's going to be very hard to get away from him. Though I don't think that Mbessa has a terribly tough time getting away from him. I want to say that Hui can kind of hold his own. He's got the speed up to try to outrun the fear. And they could probably use a fear of his own to make the Nocturne very scared and run away, try to break that tether before it's too late. But regardless, I want to say Tark is going to be looking for... Ooh, I want to say Redemption, because it's just such a good item. And basically guarantees they have a really nice ulti. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Echoes of Helia was on the table. That being said, though, I think an Mbessa is on the table. As the Gromp is going to be taken away, that's a lot of CC that stared them down in the face. They are going to flash away. Hook misses, unfortunately, from the Nautilus. Now the fight has been breaking out here. Singular Bread has the ulti if they want to pull the trigger, but I don't think they can. I think they want to just sit back. They want to get stronger. And they want to just try to make this game as even as possible right now, or try to do something, but this set is going to be flashing straight into the Shen as they get ulted by the Nocturne. They're not seeing anything. They do manage to ult away, which is going to save them a little bit, but a nice haymaker. Going to do some damage, but that's barely a consultation prize. They get taken down, they get charmed, they get taunted, they get pulled back, they get blasted, and they are gone with the wind. Unfortunately, down for another 40 seconds. That's going to be the main front line for the side of the Seals, completely taken off, and the only thing that they have is this Taric for any kind of semblance of a tank. Honestly, not, if you are Seals, you're kind of starting to sweat, because honestly, Vigar is supposed to be really weak right now, but he's got 200 extra AP from his passive. That is so much extra AP. That's honestly an entire item. That's more than an entire item. Excuse me. That's more than a death cap at this point. And that's a really, really insane spike, because the Xerath, he's probably got like half of the AP that Vigar does, which is definitely very alarming, because as of right now, no one's building any magic resist. They've just got their innate magic resist, and that's it. Not even Hui's looking to build magic resist. I think that they're probably going to opt for the Tabbies having that cloth armor. Oh wait, no, I am... no, of course they're going Zonias. They have magic pen boots, but my point still stands. No one has magic resist for this Vigar. It's going to be Coughing Baby versus Tactical Nuke. It's just going to happen. Or Hydrogen Bomb, excuse me. As Fox is going to be found out by the set, and everyone is over here, but they do have a nice buffer on the Q. That's going to be a beautiful baby cage. Oh my goodness! Outright just taken off the bar immediately, and now this Nocturne is going to be zipping around. That's going to be another free kill for the set as they dunk the set, they dunk the Shen farther in the team. That's a nice flash taunt onto the Taric. The Nautilus does die, but that is very, very well worth it, with Victor able to take that one again. The unkillable Demon King of the side of Quantum is going to grab a kill finally. After being 007, they are going to get a kill to upgrade their score line, which is definitely nice. But 007 does have a nice ring to it. Regardless, this way is going to be caught in the baby cage. He's dead. No, does flash. That's a very important tool. A very important save tool from another carry of Seal that no longer has it, because when this Nocturne has ult again, it's not an if, but it's a when. When this Nocturne has ult again, he's got Hexplate. It's coming up in 2 seconds anyway. This is going to be a very dangerous situation for Hui. Xerath might actually be able to get the kill, but the burn is not enough. I saw the vision, but it was just not there, and Victor is going to get another tower. That's a lot of tower damage on this guy. That's a lot of gold too. 10,000 already at 23 minutes. You're honestly not too sad about that one if you are the Sivir, because again, you've been laning 2v1 the entire time, basically. Fox has been running around like a madman the entire game, and we are going to see that Seraph's Embrace picked up for the Vigar. Is going to be stacked up into the Archangel's Staff, but Sivir sitting on... Oh, wait just a moment. Actually, another ulti from the Nocturne is going to be onto this. Xerath has to flash away. He's going to save themselves. But then, wait a minute, the Nocturne's going to flash forward, but they don't realize that the entire team of the Seals is there. That is not going to be a kill, but that's a big, big tool out of the side of Quantum this time. So now if the Seals are able to find the Nocturne, that is going to be a very free kill, because this Nocturne doesn't have flash. He's not the tankiest champion ever. He only has a bit of magic resist, so the set and Mbessa are absolutely going to be doing wonders on him. but Sivir as well. Again, if this champion goes unchecked, that is going to be a pretty hard thing to deal with because Sivir's ulti is genuinely one of the most underrated ults in the game. It's free move speed, and move speed is the best stat, hands down. It's an absolutely slammer stat, and I don't think not a lot of people realize that. But regardless, it's gonna be a toughie. Is all I'm gonna say. And now Veigar, 2 needlessly large rods in the backpack, is looking to get that death cap to just snowball, just completely snowball their AP out of control. And I want to say that a singular ult onto any of the squishy carries that Seal have drafted, it is going to take out 40 to 50% of their health just with a single button, which is not going to be super good for Seals if they are trying to have these longer fights, which I do think that Hui, Xerath, and I mean really any poke mage, plus Ambessa and Set really do like the longer fights. Same with Tark, you know, it gives them more time to heal and, you know, kind of stack up their stuns, use that W bunch, and I just don't think they're going to be able to have them with this Veigar getting so strong. That said, though, some nice wards on the Baron is gonna ensure that Quantum don't take this for free. They could still take it, but with the Veigar bot lane, they are looking for a pick. And Bessa, do you know what's going on here? You know, we can hear the Joss theme. They aren't going to go for it out of fear that the Tark is nearby, which could turn a fight. Again, Quantum is very strong right now. There is no doubt about that. But if the Tark is able to have something to say about it, this is going to be a very tough fight for them because the Tark is easily one of the best champions at disengage, and same with saving. You know, that ulti is absolutely busty nuts broken if used in the right hands. And I do think that Singular Bread's hands are the right hands. We just saw it, you know, we didn't see it pop off as much as we needed it to initially when they dove that Sivir with the Ambessa. That being said, some pressure going to be put onto this bot side to try to maybe hint at the Baron start, but Chocolate Bear feeling the heat of the set. Is that going to be a solo bolo where they flash forward, but that's not enough, and they get creep blocked as well. That is such an unfortunate event for this set. Oh man, that's not so good. That's a flash committed as well, and the Shed is just going to be able to back up. He can just TP to a teammate and he's good to go, which is definitely not what you want to see. But man, oh man, it's looking like it's possible, but Quantum a little bit careful here. Again, they don't want to throw the game. They don't want to throw their lead. If anyone can throw it, it is going to be this Veigar getting caught out because that is so much damage. Like, that is a disgusting amount of damage that they have on this singular champion. And if it gets shut down, that is so much damage they're losing, right? Even the squishier champions, they're like, what, a Q and an ult away from dying at this point because of how much damage he's got with that. I mean, the upgraded mid boots, the death cap in hand, it's a lot of damage for one champion. And still no magic resist being built. I mean, aside from the Knight's Vow, that is going to do a little bit. It might not do enough to save someone from a Veigar combo, but it's going to be nice. It's going to be there. But other than that, there's still not a single point of magic resist being built on anyone, like legitimately anyone on the side of the Seals. So that is going to be a little bit worrying. That being said, you know, if you are behind, don't build tanky because you can't survive anyways. But it looks like Quantum trying to do a very old classic strat of the Death Bush. And speaking of classic, actually, you know, a couple cool facts is that the ADC of Quantum actually started in Season 3, but opted to not play League Classic because they didn't want to grind for the runes. And honestly, that's super valid. They were telling me how much RP they were spending on those things and, you know, just going to the supermarket or going to the gas station and getting the Riot Point cards. I don't know if anyone has ever done that, or I'm just like, revealing my age here, but we'll get to that later. As Sivir ulti is popped, they're going to be going on to this Xerath, which is going to be very successful. But look at that damage. The Tarkle is going to save them from a little bit of burst, but that is a nice counter ulti. That's a big Set ulti as well. A huge stun and a big Xerath ulti. Wait just a moment. Is this going to be turned around? Oh, never mind. The Set does get dropped. That's a nice hook onto the way. That is a big carry taken out of the hands of Seal. And now it's just left for a cleanup. Shed is still kicking, and he's flashing forward for the Taric. That's going to be a missed taunt, unfortunately, but the Ambessa trying to take down the Nautilus, but they're just too tanky. Now I take that back. Outrage is not able to get the air kill, but Ambessa able to find the Nautilus. Now they're going to try to turn the fight once again. Do they have the damage? Chocolate Bear is still alive, but no flash available, and that is going to be another kill onto the Veigar. They did not know that the ult was not expended, and now the Xerath has to flash away. Misses the stun. That's a dead Xerath. It might not say it just yet, but actually after the cage misses, that is going to be an alive Xerath. I apologize, but still very much in favor of Quantum there. Although, it did kind of show that Seal does have the ability to fight back. We saw a lot of amazing ults used, and a lot of counter ults used as well. That set ult was phenomenal at getting onto the backline and doing a lot of damage to these squishier carries. You know, they weren't really expecting it, and with it scaling with max health damage, that does do a lot of damage because Shen picked up that Titanic Hydra and has a giant belt sitting in their inventory, plus, you know, a base like, what, 2,000 health? So it's pretty darn tanky. Regardless, I do think this dragon is up, and now there is another fight brewing, but I do think that it is favored towards Quantum because this Vigar ulti is back online. It's a super short cooldown for what it does. Same with the Sivir ulti, same with the Nautilus ulti, it's all back online. Tark ulti, not so much. They do have to wait a little bit. That dragon is going to be popped. That's going to be the Nocturne ult as well. They're looking for something. That is going to be the kill. That's a very dead Tark, and that could be a very dead set as they don't have any ulti to go with. They have the Haymaker, but it can't be used in time, and Red Sharky is going to continue pushing forward as the jungler does get that GA pop, but that is barely a worry because you did get that dragon, Soul of the Ocean Dragon, and now you're probably looking to take this Baron completely uncontested, which is, I mean, it's probably going to be the nail in the coffin for the side of the Seals. And what was I saying before? That's right, that's right. Yeah, so, funnily enough, the ADC for the side of Quantum actually started in Season 3, but they opted not to play League Classic because they had to grind for the runes. And like I was saying, I don't know if anyone else has ever done this, but have you ever gone to the supermarket at the gas station to, like, buy those, like, scratch-off RP codes, you know what I mean? And then, like, you buy, like, the 5 or 10 or 25 bucks, and then you just go home, you buy whatever skin, or you realize that you don't have enough, so then you have to go back to get it again, or you just wait for the skin to go on sale. So honestly, I can understand not playing the League Classic for all that grinding, but interestingly enough, the supports also played League Classic, but they started in Season 4, so it's not quite their era, as they told me, but they did say that they're not the biggest fan of it because it was kind of cringe, low-key. And actually, I think that's one of the underrated things about modern League of Legends is, you know, a lot of people have their gripes with the game, and rightfully so, right? But there's a lot of really cool mechanics that do keep you, you know, keeps the games even, per se. You know, it keeps you in the game, still keeps you active and engaged in everything that's going on. You know, catch-up XP is one of those things, right? It's a little bit of a divisive topic, but genuinely it feels really, really nice. Because if you have a terrible lane, you can still get back, you can still get your ulti online, and you can still hit your buttons, which feels absolutely amazing. And in Classic League, that's absolutely not the case. If you fall behind, you're behind, buddy. And you just gotta sit back there and try to get anything. But over in the mid lane, though, another big fight, probably gonna be breaking out soon, as they're looking for something. This Sivir stepped up very, very close, but is able to save themselves. And Bessa just looking for something. They're fishing for a nice ult angle. Could be possible, though. Shen is very separated from the fight, but at the same time, this is a Shen. He could just teleport away, and with that being pretty far away, it is going to be very easy for the Shen to just, you know, suddenly pop into the middle of the team fight for Quantum. You know, this Nocturne ults the Xerath as the Shen is ulting them, and now the Xerath has nowhere to go after the fear, or after the Nocturne reaches them. The Shen stuns them, or taunts them rather, and then the Nocturne fears them, and then they're dead. But regardless, that's a big Vigar cage. Can they take out the Ambessa? That should be the target. It's not going to be enough damage. The Endless Hunger plus the Lifesteal Boots is going to make sure. Oh my goodness, that's a big W from the Vigar. That is not going to be the kill just yet, but that's an ulting Xerath, which they are going to be pushing into. They're checking the Baron, but it's going to be off, and that's a nice Tark ulti, but it's not nice enough to save the play. It's not nice enough to save the Tark as the Sniffers flashing forward for the kill. Over in the mid lane, though, Outrage going to be outraged, and he's still got feared by that thing. The break range is immaculate, and the set trying to make a consultation prize of literally anything. Nothing's going to happen. They're going to flash away, but it's just not enough. And Red Sharky is, again, going to get another kill. You know, the gold lead for the junglers is still relatively even, though. Only 1.8k in favor of the Nocturne, but the other gold leads, not so much. In the top lane, we've got a 2.2k gold lead for Chocolate Bear. In the mid lane, we've got a 3k gold lead for Char himself, and of course, a 2k gold lead for Victor. And heck, even the support is up by 400 gold, which is not the craziest gold lead in the world, but that's still pretty nice. Yeah, this Baron's going to go down really, really fast. They've got nothing to contest. Ambessa could try to hero steal, but at this point, I don't think you can. I think you need more than a miracle to take this one. They do ult into the pit, but it's just not going to be there. It's just nothing. They can't quite do it, unfortunately. The Ambessa, they tried their best, right? I will absolutely commend the attempt, but it just does not go anywhere, and the Seals are going to continue to feel the pressure, as this Baron buff is now going to be used to probably secure a lot of wave states, a lot of map pressure, and is probably going to transition into a the inner tracks of the Dragon Pit for this Elder Dragon on the side of Quantum. I think if this Veigar does get the Elder Dragon, that is going to be wrapped, because like we saw how low it dropped the Ambessa after a single ulti in that last fight there before that Baron was taken, and it did a lot of damage. If the Veigar gets more AP and an Elder Dragon buff like that, he could basically just ult someone and they are going to die. So it's definitely going to be a big worry, but we are actually going to be seeing a tier for the Taric. That's really interesting. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I've ever seen that. Is it cool? Absolutely. I wonder, is it gonna be a Fimble Winter? Or are they just holding this for fun? I'm not sure, actually. I'm actually not too sure. But anyway, we are gonna see this, this game's probably over. I'm not gonna lie. Quantum is insanely far ahead. If there is a way back for the Seals, it is gonna be this is probably going to be the Ambessa and the set. You know, if they can get onto this Veigar and pop them, it is going to be very easy for them to turn around the fight. But regardless, that's going to be a Nocturne ulti that is going to be popped to scare them away for the tower. But up the top side is where it actually is, and Outrage just barely going to live that fight. Is barely just going to live that engage. And man, oh man, that's honestly, that's not too bad. I'm not going to lie to you. That is not horrendous. That is not horrendous, because now, I mean, down to the bot side, though, you've dragged so much pressure top lane that now they can just get this for completely free. And of course, the carry is going to be taking down that inhib of the side of the Seals. And again, I mean, the Ambessa is going to try to make something happen. Shed dashes into it, but I don't think it's going to matter. You're spending all this time top lane while your mid lane is being sieged. That's going to be a nice hook for the Nautilus. He's going to catch the Xerath, and the Ambessa is going to commit the flash to try to kill the Chocolate Bear. But over, your base is being sieged. You have to recall. You're just padding your KD at this point. They will find the kill eventually, but I don't think it's going to matter. It's a nice stun out of the way. They are just barely going to avoid death. And that was a huge game from the side of Quantum. Definitely feels great. You know, they were 0-6 at the start, and now they're starting to come back, and that game was insanely dominant. And I do believe that Sivir is one of the main picks for Chrome, so the fact that that is now off the table is going to be a huge question mark, because the only other champions that they play, I mean, they do play a lot of stuff, but a lot of their main picks are, let's see here, they have, oh geez, oh, interesting. Well, regardless, that is going to be a huge win for the side of Quantum. I apologize, I guess my notes just aren't in the right order, but I could have sworn that I did write out that Sivir and a lot of mages like Hui, Syndra, etc. were played for the side of the ADC. But let's take a look at the damage. Again, despite the situation, the Set and the Xerath were doing quite a bit of damage. Same with the Hui. You know, they were in a 2v1 lane for a while, and they weren't able to interact with the lane opponent quite as much as they would have wanted to, but still a very good game nonetheless for the Hui. Did a lot of damage, did what they could, but at the end of the day, this Veigar is just so insanely powerful, right? We saw, again, didn't get the most damage in the game, not by a long shot, but, well, actually pretty close. But, again, it just couldn't find, well, it executed, essentially, right? You don't play Veigar for constant DPS, you play it for burst, you play it to kill someone immediately before they can get going, and before they can hit their power spikes in a fight. And they absolutely did that, right? Isn't going to look this flashiest on the damage, but is definitely going to be very good. But of course, I don't think we could really talk about the damage charts and say that Red Sharky, definitely one of the carries of this game. There were so many ganks that were pulled off by them, so many ganks that were absolutely, I mean, almost flawless, I would say, from just ulting in and, you know, setting up with the teammate CC. It didn't really matter what lane they ganked, they always had a way to get onto them. And that's what I really like about the Seals' comp, or sorry, Quantum's comp, apologies. If the Nocturne goes top, the Shen can easily back it up with an E flash or just an E if they really feel entitled to. But with the Set being drafted as well, that basically guarantees that the Set is going to be in E range for the Shen, which makes the ganks super duper easy. Over in the mid lane as well, even though it's not direct CC, the Veigar cage is genuinely one of the hardest CCs to deal with, especially if you don't have any mobility, because while you can stay away from the walls and not get stunned, now you're stuck in this tiny little cage with a Nocturne that is actively tearing you to shreds, and it's very hard to deal with. And again, the Sivir, right, he just, I mean, he don't really gank the Sivir a crazy amount. It doesn't have a crazy amount of damage early game, and late game it doesn't. I mean, it does damage, right? Very clearly, so it does damage. But you really want to gank bot lane for the Nautilus, which does make it insanely easy because again, three forms of CC definitely one of the hardest champions to avoid. But that is going to be a game number one. Going to the Seals, again, a big congratulations for them. Definitely up quite a bit of gold, quite a lot of towers, and a couple inhibitors. But of course, the Drakes were really what shone for me because they got the soul very, very quickly. But again, there's not really too much else to say there. There's a lot we could talk about, but I think we're gonna save some of that for the next game. So you know what? Check back in just a couple minutes when we've got everything sorted out, and we'll see you back for draft number 2. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Gareth back at again, back at it again. Apologies. We got Quantum going head to head against the Seals. And game one was pretty darn crazy. We saw the Vigar pop right off for the side of Quantum, but regardless, this is game number two. But before we get into the draft, I do want to talk about the other secret topic that I did talk to the other players about, and that was if they could make any custom skin, or sorry, any April Fool's skin, what would they make? And let's see here. The ADC for the side of Quantum would make an Aphelio skin. They didn't really tell me what Aphelio skin, but they did want to make an Aphelio skin, which I did think is pretty cool. You know, they haven't really gotten a skin in a very long time, so definitely makes sense. And for the coach would want Star Guardian Braum, which I thought was really interesting. And the shield, of course, would have to be like, pink and starry and all that jazz. But the support actually had a really nice one in the form of Trucker Orn. That was a really good skin that was pitched a while ago before the Train Conductor Orn, I believe it's called, was released. And of course, Trucker Orn was supposed to be that thing. But regardless, they would make that thing, and then the other team actually got back to me about this before the first game started. But I did want to hold on to it, and they thought of the Seals thought of Ballerina Zaheen, which is that's a pretty funny skin. I would probably cop that one, but of course, Nightcap Knot is my favorite of the April Fool's skins. I'm a Nautilus player, so I would definitely cop that immediately. But regardless, let's get away from the custom skins and start getting into this draft because Quantum, looking to take the blue side once again, is going to draft the Varus to start things off. Whereas that's going to be a lot of damage for the side of the Steels. That's a very, very high kill lane. Sorry, very high pressure kill lane in the form of the Leona and, of course, the Caitlyn. A nice, pardon me, a nice counter in the form of the Braum. It also kind of, I mean, I like it a lot. The only thing I hope is that Quantum drafts more auto attackers because, of course, the Braum passive only really works with auto attackers. They are going to draft the Vi, which is very good, actually. Their jungler plays quite a bit of Vi, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, they play a Vi, but it also kind of counters the other side as well because Seal, they do play they don't play as much Vi as Sharky, but they do play a fair bit. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if they did respond with a jungler of their own. The bot lanes have been revealed. The jungler has been revealed for the side of Quantum. Seems like a good time to pick a jungle. If I did have to guess what it was going to be, Loki, I would say Trundle. I would say Trundle or Teemo. Either one of those works. It looks like it is going to be the Jax for the top lane, though. We have seen Jax jungle quite a bit, but I don't think that Mr. Nyson plays the Jax a whole bunch. So yeah, Jungle Pick's still gonna be unknown as we return to more bands. I would like to see some more jungle bands for the side of Quantum. Because of course Jax, pretty strong top laner, goodness me. If I had to guess what they are gonna be playing, of course, Bear, they do like Quinn quite a bit, but it has been banned away. And you kinda can't play that. I mean you kinda can, you can make it work if you are skilled enough, but they do have quite a bit of mastery points on it. Yorick would be interesting. I think it's probably going to be a Cassante angle just in terms of consistency and where this Vi is going to be playing. Because I would assume that bot lane is going to be very, very volatile, right? With the Leona Caitlyn matchup. I mean, it's kind of neutralized with the Braum there, but even still, right? You want to pay attention to this bot lane because it does have a lot of power and a lot of sway in this game. And with how much Quantum likes the dragons, I wouldn't be surprised if they did want to pay attention to this bot side specifically for that bot lane kind of pairing and synergy, and just to make sure they don't fall too far behind. Zahen going to be banned out for the side of Quantum as well. It's interesting. It's good because the top laner does play quite a bit as a hen. But let's see. If we take a look at the jungle, I don't think that Nison plays a crazy amount of Zahen jungle, though. I don't think they play any jungle. I do know that their top laner loves the jungle, loves the Zahen, excuse me, for the side of the Seals. So maybe that is a Jax jungle, but in my notes, they have been playing a decent amount of Jax. So I'm interested to see where it goes. Lysandra picked up for the side of the Seals again. Okay. Pretty solid mid. Does give some nice lockdown for this team as well. Solid damage. I mean, Lysandra doesn't hurt the most, mainly because her kit. Oh, pardon me. Is probably easier to hit than a lot of others. But that being said, it is still a good bit of damage. Nice, very, very good AoE is what I will say. Victor picked up as well, which is cool. Yeah, I'll mess with that. Definitely is going to make a lot of AoE for the side of Quantum as well, because again, right, Victor has a lot of damage in an area. I mean, he doesn't really have a crazy amount of single target. He can do it if it's late game, but until he gets there, it's pretty darn rough. And he is just kind of like an AoE bot. Alawi picked up for the top lane. That's really, really cool. I don't know how I feel about Alawi into Jax, but at this point, it might not be Alawi into Jax. It very well could be Alawi into something else. Like if we take a look at the other top lane champions that he plays, Teemo is actually not on the menu. So I wonder why they picked up the Teemo. I mean, it is very good against Alawi, right? Very clearly, it could be jungle because Nison does play Teemo jungle. This could be Teemo jungle again, right? The beauty of the kind of modern League of Legends is, of course, these flex picks, because Jackson and Teemo they could basically just interchange lanes, or sorry, interchange roles. Excuse me. Actually, going to opt for the Yone. So okay, so that is going to be Yone top into Alawi. I didn't see a crazy amount of Yone in DXBS's repertoire. That being said, it could still be very strong against the Alawi, because Alawi does have a lot of max health, and Yone is very, very good at dealing with champions who have a lot of max health. Jax in the jungle versus Vi, I do think it's actually Jax favored. It could be Vi favored if the time the ulti right, but again, that does take some time and coordination to pull off. But down to the bot lane, that is going to be the real exciting matchup, because Braum Varus going head to head against Caitlyn Leon is going to be pretty darn tough. There's going to be a lot of death there. In the mid lane, Victor does not want to fight at all. He's not stepping up. He's not going to do anything like that. He's just going to farm. And then in the late game, I do want to say it is Victor sided, because of course he does get those upgrades, which makes him significantly more powerful the later the game goes on. He doesn't have that hex core anymore, which again was in League Classic. So he can't quite spike as hard as he used to, but it's definitely not a bad option. Yeah, I'd say definitely anti-heal gonna be one of the main focuses here. Obviously, Caitlyn doesn't have any built-in healing, but she does want to build a lot of lifesteal. Same with Jax. You know, he's a fast attacker. He's gonna have a good bit of healing into him, and same with Theon, right? He has to go lifesteal, right? He's gonna be picking up a Blade of the Rooted King, probably going to be a Bloodthirster as well. If Alawi can get a Bramble Vest or potentially an Executioner's Calling, it wouldn't be too surprised about. I do think that anti-heal is definitely going to be the main thing. I would imagine that Seals want to pick up some anti-heal as well, because Alawi has quite a bit of healing. But regardless, I'm still gonna keep drafting away. I'm still gonna keep plugging away at my notes. So just check back in a couple minutes here when we start off with game number 2. So good luck, have fun to all the teams. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, potentially back with the last game in this best of three series. We got Quantum versus Seals, and man, oh man, game number one was a big heater. We got to see the Vygar in action, but now Vygar's off the table. This is a fearless draft. Let's see if the Seals can pull it back this time and save themselves, or if Quantum is going to break their 0-6 curse and finally get a win to their name. Because as Fox was telling me in an exclusive off-stream interview, they said that at this point there's only one way to go, and that is up. So I do hope that these guys can actually swing back here and grab their first win. But regardless, this comp is not going to make it easy from the side of the Seals. They have a lot of powerhouses drafted, and especially if this goes into the late game, I don't think this is going to favor the side of Quantum very much. I do think that they are a very early or mid-game focused comp here, but the later this game goes, it's not going to be the greatest. Regardless, it is going to be a bit of a slower opening. You know, kind of like I was saying in the earlier parts of the draft, mid lane, nothing's really going to be going on aside from that. They might be trading a little bit just to get this mana flow and stacks stacking up, but nothing crazy. Up at the top lane, though, honestly, kind of chill. It is all going to depend on how this Alawi can position with these tentacles. Looked at a pretty good trade there, but down to the bot lane, I think that is where a majority of the action is going to go, because that is that's a lot of pressure, right? 2 kill lanes is definitely very good. That being said, though, jungle is interesting. I don't know who wins 100% of the time in the Jax versus Vi matchup. I want to say, in my heart of hearts, that it is going to be Vi favored, because of course Vi is a great dueling champion, and especially early game, she's actually pretty strong. She's deceptively strong, rather, at that level 3 spike. Jax does have some dueling power because, again, right, Vi is an auto attack based champion. She doesn't really use spells, and Jax's E blocks auto attacks, obviously getting stronger with each attacked block, so I don't think it's awful. But I just don't know if it wins early. Up at the top lane, though, again, we're seeing these tentacles kind of smack away at the Sion, and with how much minions are worth early game, it is, I mean, it's very imperative that you get these minions instead of destroy the Alawi tentacles. And with Alawi being level 3 as well, this is going to open you up for the Alawi E angles, which is very hard to deal with. Over in the mid lane, though, a lot of damage onto Outrage. But down in the bot lane, that we could be seeing the first blood, as Jax is going to look to make the first move. Unfortunately, the stun from Leona does miss, so it's not going to make anything happen. Or the Zenith Blade, rather. We could see Jax look for a mid lane gank here, because even though Flash is up for Victor, yeah, Lysandra just barely avoids the stun. Now this Victor has no gravity field for the Jax that decide to come in. But if they need Vi, is going to be right there as well. But man, oh man, yeah. I mean, honestly, listen, my heart of hearts, I want to believe in the Seals here, because they, of course, are a very good team. You know, they have a lot of really nice players. They did get back to me a little bit late on the side of, in terms of like interview questions, which, you know, I mean, that's a bit of a minus points in my books. But on the other hand, this team is pretty darn solid, and I do really love the draft. Right, it's probably one of my favorite drafts that I have seen in these in this entire tournament. I mean, probably aside from All Smite, we've seen some crazy stuff from them. Some very crazy stuff, rather. But it's hard to beat All Smite in terms of amazing comps. But anyway, I do really want to see Quantum get their first win, though. That would be really nice to have it. We are going to see a bit of bot lane action, though. Fox dropping down very low. Is going to block that Q. Vi Q is going to be charged up, but it's not going to find anything just yet. And they are going to back off towards that Krugs, towards those Krugs. Once again, up at the top lane, though. Force flashed from Alawi. And there, I mean, the Alawi E is going to be coming in. It could be giving them a little bit of healing, a little bit of damage, but it's just not going to be enough. Chocolate Bear falls. DXBS is able to grab the first kill of the game. So that's that. I mean, yeah, all you Seal believers in there, that's definitely going to be feeling good, because that is going to be first blood on easily one of the most strongest champions in this game, if I'm not mistaken. Over in the mid lane, though, again, we're probably not seeing a crazy amount of action, but I mean, that being said, Revenue Well almost lands. Not quite enough, though. Well, we are going to see Leona take a trip mid lane. I would assume that this is probably just to try to catch this Victor out, and then even if it doesn't work, they still have numbers for Dragon. Char gonna find out that there is a Leona in their lane, drops the gravity field, could be seeing the kill onto the Lizandra as they do get stunned up. Leona as well is gonna be stunned. That's a very, very tanky champion, especially in these earlier levels. You have no items, and she's got a ton of resistances, so nothing coming from that. DXBS, though, looking to find another solo bolo angle on this Alawi as they are tanking up the entire wave of minions, just so that this crash is not possible. They do lose one, but over here in the jungle, we are going to see Jax pop that counter-strike just a little bit late, and that's going to be the flash from Vi to secure the first blood, and Leona's flashing over too! Oh no! That's going to be the Chaos Storm unlocked as well for the Victor. That's probably going to be a freebie for him, which is going to feel absolutely amazing, picking up a double kill. That is definitely not the start that you want if you are the Seals. You got the first blood, which is great, but now you've given the scaling mid laner a double kill. That is, I mean, that's going to be pretty hard to deal with, right? Victor, definitely his weakest point is the early game. Now he's going to be able to back it. Easily gets a Lost Chapter online, which is going to be a colossal power spike for him because Lizandra, she's nowhere near that Lost Chapter. I mean, she does have the AP, or she does have the amplifying tome, but that's it. You still need like 1,000 more gold worth of items in order to grab that Lost Chapter. The top lane, though, I would want to see Alawi probably go for a Triforce. I think that is going to be the first item. Yone opting for those boots. I mean, obviously, right? Now, the big question is, do you go Bork in this matchup because Alawi has a lot of health, or do you opt for something else? Because I'm actually not sure. Again, I'm a big support player, so I don't quite play a lot of the Yone. And if we do have any Yone mains in chat, maybe you can let me know. But down on the bot lane, though, we are going to see a stun land onto the Braum. Is this going to be the kill? They can still hop away towards that Varus, but that is going to enable the Jax to flash on to get a double stun. That is going to be a nice trap setup for the Caitlyn. Is going to be the kill, but they do get a return from the Varus. Can they grab a second before they go down? Not quite, but the TP's invested as well. This Vi wants blood, and she will grab it, killing her partner in crime, the Caitlyn. And now, Singular Bread, the last woman alive, is going to be going down to the Vi. Once again, no flash because it was expended earlier. That is, again, if you are Seals, the alarm bells aren't quite ringing because you do have a later game comp, but that is definitely not going to be feeling good starting off this game. That being said, the top lane is still very much in favor of Yone, right? Obviously, that Alawi ulti is going to be coming down, doing a lot of damage. Maybe I just cast her cursed it. They've got so many tentacles. The Evade Seal is not going to be able to come out on time, and Chocolate Bear is going to grab their own kill. Seals, now things are kind of slipping a little bit. I mean, that was only one kill in the top lane, but the collective gold that they've gained in the collective levels as well is not something to be scoffed at, as this Alawi is going to look to get a nice crusted play. I want to say that that's 2 plays right there, because Jax is only, not quite. If they had Grubbies, they could absolutely make it a double plate play. But speaking of, I think that's going to be coming up in just a couple seconds here. And we see Braum, they did recently leave bot lane to go try to check for any early aggression, but they are going to be returning, so that's going to be even numbers for the side of the Seals on this objective. Alawi going to be a little bit behind, though, so if Jax starts it right now, they do have the numbers advantage temporarily. That being said, it looks like Quantum is going to look to take it first, as Jax is going to be moving bot side. This could be a bot lane gank angle, but you're trading another objective for this bot gank, which is not, you know, maybe not entirely worth. Obviously, you want to get this Caitlyn online as soon as possible because she hurts like a truck, right? Especially with Infinity Edge, right? Hex Optics, a lot of these damaging items that can turn Caitlyn into just a Gatling gun of just pure death. You know, if you can get the Caitlyn online, maybe it's doable, but again, at the same time, you don't want to be trading objectives because that's the big ticket, right? Especially for Alawi and Vi as well. Even Varus has a lot of pushing power baked into his passive. You can't give Grubs over, but regardless, it looks like that was the right call for the side of the Seals. And I'm curious how they are going to deal with this. We are going to be seeing more mid lane aggression. It seems like I was just insanely wrong about this mid lane matchup. I didn't think that the Lizandra would want to try to trade with the Victor, but I was very clearly wrong. Down in the bot lane, though, a bit of an engage onto Singular Bread. Is it going to lead to a kill? It could, because that Varus ulti does come online. It is going to hit. Grabs the Caitlyn as well. This is probably a double kill, actually, but he autos the minion. Is that going to be the difference? Yes, it is. He's going to flash forward for a nice kill with that with a sniped arrow, but Jack's going to be coming in hot, but he's going to get stunned up by the concussive blows and by the Glacial Fissure. Is this going to be a triple kill for the Varus? They're auto-attacking away, and the Jackson's bobbing and weaving, but he can't dodge the autos. Now they've got to heal up just a little bit before Outrage gets there and tries to clean up this fight. They do have the Frozen Tube available. They have to use it on the Varus, but Fox, you've got to try to bait it out. You've got to do something for your ADC. Puts up the shield, grabs the concussive blows. But are they able to proc it? That is going to be the Frozen Tomb down, and they are going to get a kill, but it's not on the double buff Varus. So, yes, as a mid laner, that feels good, but you don't get the double buffs, and the ADC still alive to live another day. That's no extra gold in your pocket, which is definitely not feeling good. Locket picked up for Braum as well. Definitely going to be a big power spike. Up in the top lane, though, getting very, very close to that Trinity Force. That being said, a bit of a top gank. That's a nice flash, though. It's going to avoid the Fate Sealed, and is going to see the Jax coming from a mile away. Pops the ulti. Doesn't quite buff the CC, but do they have enough healing here? Jax dropping down low. That is going to be the kill. And then Vi as well. Going to be down to the bot lane. Not able to get the knock-up onto Chroma. Chroma alone. Apologies. He's going to flash forward for it. Has to smite to get the slow, but that's a nice Eclipse to try to counter-engage. But Varus steps to the trap. I don't think this is going to transition into any kills unless they want to... Yeah, never mind. That Q is going to land, and that is going to be another kill. Victor going absolutely insane. 5-1. Definitely a very stark contrast to the first game that we saw where they were, what, 0-7 for a majority of the game. That being said, Outrage maybe stepping up a little bit too close for comfort. They will have to back up here because feeding more kills is not going to be the way that they shut this Victor down. They need to get this guy off of the map before he can continue the scale. That's another free dragon for the side of Quantum. We will see what kind of soul it is very, very soon. Let's see here. Do we think it's going to be an Infernal Soul? No, because that was taken. Is it going to be a Chemtech, though? Let's take a look. That is... I can't quite tell right now. Not Earth Soul. It is going to be Hextech Soul. Okay. So any Poke champions are going to be liking that quite a bit. And with the comp that the Seals have, I would imagine they want this ASAP. But again, it's an uphill battle. You know, much like map number 1, they are down 2 dragons already, and it's only 11 minutes. I think the first time we saw it, they were down 2 dragons by 13 minutes, so definitely going to be a bit of a harder buy here for the Seals. They need to do something. They need to get this Jax on these dragons as soon as possible. They need to shut down Red Sharky. We know how aggressive they like to play. If they can maybe bait them out with a bit of a lane gank that's being cooked up here. Maybe they can get Red Sharky out, secure numbers for Dragon, and then secure the objective when it is up. But we are going to see Jax in the bot lane. They're trying to look for something. This could be a very interesting play. We don't really see a lot of lane gank Jaxes, but Braum is going to be walking into the bush quite soon. He's going to hit the trap, and now they are going to be going in. That's Eclipse. That is going to go wide. Unfortunately, the Jax is going to be moving forward. Has that Counter-Strike. Fails the flash. That's not so good. This could be turned around. It's a disaster. The Caitlyn's free hitting sure, but that's a double kill for the Varus. And now Fox is going to be going down. Unfortunately, the Q misses, but I don't think they care. And Chrome alone gets absolutely blasted to shreds by this Varus damage. That is so much damage that he's got right there. Up at the top lane, it's just not any better with Alawi baiting him into that double tentacle setup. Does basically his entire health bar off of one trade now that the Black Cleaver is online. Man, oh man. It's kind of falling apart for the side of the Seals. They are going to get a nice Chaos Storm in. That's not going to be the blink in from the Lysandra. Might have been a kill, but Frozen Tomb expended as well. Not going to continue chasing for that one, but Alawi looking to take this tower pretty darn early. Oh man. Yeah, in terms of the maps and items, I mean, there's nothing that can really be taken here aside from jungle camps. But I think that Frozen Tomb being offline is definitely going to be a big question mark, because I think that's their main engage. From the side of Seals, you know, they've got a lot of setup, and with the Malignants online as well, it does give the ulti some nice cooldown reduction, but at the end of the day, it's a long cooldown. They need to get this rank 2, rank 3 ASAP, because that is going to enable a lot of the playmaking potential. Excuse me. As we continue looking over towards this mid lane, again, we're seeing this Braum be an absolute menace, being 0-2-11. Again, the KDA does not matter, but the fact that their presence is there, it really shuts down the Caitlyn, because now she can't do any damage anymore. I mean, sure, she can hit Braum, but he doesn't care. He's got Tabbies and a Locket. He's completely fine. And with the way Unbreakable works, you can't auto attack the rest of his team. You just have to sit there and wait for the Unbreakable to finish. And as any kind of engage, yes, you can get past Braum, but if your damage doesn't get past Braum, you're kind of just inting, because now you're just in the middle of like 4 enemies, and that's it. That being said, the Red Sharky smells blood in the water, could be going for this Caitlyn once again, but they are going to put a ward down and see it coming from a mile away. is going to be swept, though. Does Singular Bread go in here? Trap does not land. So Red Sharky saves quite a bit of health. As, not quite Herald time yet, but pretty darn soon. As this mid tower is probably going to be broken down to the bot lane, though. That's a nice frozen tomb onto the Victor. Can they actually get away? Jax is going to be hopping forward. That is going to be the kill onto Char, but can they get a return kill? Yes, they can. They do get it, but that's a big shutdown for the Jax. Or no, it's for the Lysandra. The Jax, I mean, they don't get nothing. They get an assist, but that's a bunch of gold onto the Lysandra. I mean, that gold lead as well is basically nothing. Null and void, in fact. Up in the top lane, though, Alawi building a sizable gold lead. As Fox is going to take a visit up top to secure that first tower for the Alawi. Not looking to take any gold, but will force the Yone back to say, hey, listen, buddy, you've done well in this top lane. It's time to leave. You gotta go. You're not doing anything here, and Red Sharky is going to be standing on a ward, so their presence will be noted by the Seals, and they won't be falling for their tricks. These Hextech gates are going to be pretty darn good for getting back onto the map, though. That's definitely one of the most interesting Dragon Souls out there, right? Obviously, each Dragon Soul kind of impacts, but whoa, bit of a lag spike going on there. I mean, nothing we haven't dealt with before in our games, but Chocolate Bear looking to be the immovable object. We are going to see the Red Sharky slam this Herald right into the Caitlyn for a bit of damage, but that's going to be right into the Lysandra root, into a Jack stun, into a Frozen Tomb. That's going to be a very dead jungler, but the Rift Herald is going to be able to get a second charge off. That's going to be the TP. There's a bunch of action going on here. That's going to be a double kill, or no, sorry, a single kill as the Alavi clone dies as well, and that's a Leona for jungler. Honestly, pretty worth of your seal, but I do think that's I want to say counter logic for some reason. Quantum can still look for more. They are maybe going to try to take this dragon, but it's risky. You don't have a jungler. They need to find this Jax. If they can get the Jax offline, that is going to be the go signal. That is going to be TP from Yone as well. They are going to be coming in, but they're going to be straight into the Braum, and the Gravity Well does not hit. As Braum unfortunately misses the Q. The Lysandra is going to be going in. That's a nice route onto the Braum, but they have to flash away as Jax is coming in hot. That's a lot of damage onto Victor. He will be going down immediately. Braum going to be dropped down low as well. Jax just barely able to escape, and they can't find anything. Fox manages to get the return kill, but that's a big Alawi. Can they get a kill? Not quite. Doing so much damage. Now over in the back, though. Vi has enough time to respawn and join the fight. Can they find Outrage or early anything else? No, they can't, but Seals, that was a phenomenal fight for you. You've won so much. Shutdowns off of that one. I mean, it did cost them quite a bit. A lot of summoner spells, a lot of abilities. But at the end of the day, they are pretty happy with that one. Big investment from the Varus as well. That flash expended. Cleanse as well. That's definitely going to be a very vulnerable ADC for the next few minutes. Which, if you are Seals, that is the number one thing that you are looking to abuse, right? You've got the Frozen Tomb, you've got everything that Jax has, you've got Yone's entire kit, you've got so much that could turn this ADC into a very, very sorry player. That being said, they are going to try to look for this dragon once again. It's got a bounty. They need to try to take it. I don't think they can just yet. This Victor's pushing in this bot wave as well. If they can get it in fast enough, this could be a pretty big crunch from the side of Quantum. I mean, Seals are going to start it off. They have to sneak this now. It looks like it is going to be noted. And, I mean, it is going to get revealed very, very quickly by the Victor. And they have to give. There's nothing that Quantum can do. They have to forfeit the dragon and just continue to maybe try to get some tower plates. Just try to keep killing off these towers because, again, their champions are very, very good at pushing. And with 3 grubs on the line as well, that is so much extra pushing power they have. Alawi, though, oh my goodness. Doing a lot of damage to the Yone. I don't think the Yone can really step up here, especially with that Black Cleaver online. It looks like they are going to be building towards Asterix next, which is going to be a huge power spike. A little bit of a ridiculous power spike, dare I say. But it is going to be a power spike nonetheless. Yone on that Blade of the Ruined King. Looks like they do build it first. I thought you did change it up depending... I thought you maybe went for something else first, but no, it is going to be Blade of the Ruined King. Jax as well on that Dusk and Dawn has the alternator, probably looking for a proto build if I had to guess, but I don't quite know the new Jax build, excuse me. But Caitlyn as well on a lot of these powerful items. They have the Hex Optics, they have the Infinity Edge, not quite 100% crit chance yet, but that is still quite a lot of damage that they are able to do, and especially with their attack range, that is going to be an insane amount of damage, especially if they could find Victor as well, because he doesn't have any defensive items, not even ninja tabbies. Does have those gluttonous greaves, as they call it, but at the end of the day, this Braum is going to make it so hard to focus down this Varus. I mean, it's basically going to require that Yone hits a Fate's Call, or Jax flashes in with a stun, or Lissandra finds them with a Frozen Tomb. But in any case, it is going to be a big investment. That being said, Leona going to get caught out here. Do they manage to get taken down before Caitlyn can help? They are going to put a couple traps down, so if they can make it past this line, that is going to be a very free Leona, but nope. They are not able to take it in. Fox just picks it up. It picks up the Leona. Now over towards this Baron. Not quite going to be taken, actually. I lied. Honestly, it does make sense, though. The Jax is currently ravaging their jungle. They've got to do something. They can't let this guy get any more farm, I will say. If the Jax can kind of pick up the pace and get a lot of these core items that they need, they are going to be a big, big menace. We are going to be seeing the ultimate investment from the Jax to try to survive, but that's a great Glacial Fissure. That is going to find a second, but they're not going to go for it. They don't know where the Lissandra is. I think they did manage to find the Red Shark. He catches them again. They ulti before they get away. No, not quite. Crow alone playing with fire as well, standing very dangerously close to everyone on the side of Quantum. But man, oh man, it's rough. Now this Alawi's taking a second top tower. They can't keep doing. They can't keep letting them get away with this. Actually, Gunblade picked up for Jax. That's interesting. Oh my god! Wait, hold on a minute. Outrage just killed Char. Yeah, both subs invested as well. That's a big, big kill. I'm afraid I don't quite know what happened there, but that's a great pick from the side of the Seals. They were able to shut down Char a little bit. Now he's off the map. Gold advantage in favor of the Lissandra, which is actually very, very nice. 10 stacks of Dark Seal as well. I don't think you really transition into a Magi's here. Maybe you do if you're feeling confident, but I feel like at a site like this, you can't really afford to buy a lot of these meme items. But Nison could be found by the Braum. Could be gone on. They are currently alone. Expends the Counter-Strike as well. This could be a dive waiting to happen. That's a nice juke from the Jax, but I mean, they're not focusing the tower. They're going to be focusing the Jax instead. That is going to be the kill. And they're trying to kill off this tower ASAP, but Braum gets caught with a Frozen Tomb. He's going to die out of the tower pretty soon. Victor has to force the cleanse. As Yone expends the TP, they expend the ulti, they expend the everything, and Outrage comes out with a double kill. That is absolutely massive for the side of the Seals. They were able to shut down so many people. I mean, the kill situation is still looking good for Quantum, but it's definitely a step in the right direction if you are Seals. Again, the big question mark is Chocolate Bear, who of course did not go Sterix Gauge. They obviously went Sundered Sky. Again, I'm not a big top player. I don't quite know the builds, but this is going to be a lot of healing. But I'm still not seeing any anti-heal for the side of the Seals. They got to build it. They cannot let this Alawi continue hitting away at objectives. They can't let them keep healing. And with the buy as well, also picking up the Sundered Sky, they have to deal with this. Tower taken down by Char. That is not going to be a kill just yet, as the Zonias is able to save them for just a couple seconds. But Frozen Tomb as well. Gravity Well has got to be coming up pretty darn soon, but it's not going to matter. And the Outrage outplays Char once again. That's another huge kill. Now this Lissandra is starting to be a big headache for the side of Quantum, because they got to deal with it. And as it stands right now, it's a very strong pick. He's able to pick off the strongest, well, one of the strongest members of their team, which is definitely not what you want to see. Now it's another fight for this dragon, and down to control mage rather. I do think that Seal is going to be able to secure this relatively for free. They have to give it up, but on the other side of the map, that is going to be the Baron available. They are going to make the call to go for it. But now the big question is, can they take it before Seal takes the dragon and moseys on up top lane? I think they know it's happening. They are going to start running over there right now. The Baron's dropping down to like 8k, 7k rather. That's pretty darn good, but Lissandra's going to be here. Do they manage to get inside? Yes, they do actually. They get it. They hit a great Frozen Tomb, but it is going to secure the Baron for the side of Quantum. But now they're trying to stall for just as long as possible. Fox not going to block the headshot. That's going to open up Jax to get onto the Baron, shutting them down immediately. That's a big Fate's Call. And is it doable? Can you do it, Seals? Have you found the answer? This Alawi is bopping away at everyone. There's so much healing. They're not able to get get that off. Victor coming in hot now. Can they get any return kills? Any concentration prizes? Caitlyn going to be flashing forward. This is going to be the double kill. It's the battle of the century, and they still come out on top. Quantum, how do you do it? How does it happen? And Char, standing atop a mountain of bodies, will flash the mastery and a triple kill, netting Quantum the Baron and winning the team fights. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, what a play. Oh my gosh, somebody give this guy a raise. That was absolutely phenomenal. But again, I don't think we can really count, kind of discredit DXBS's engagement. Like, that was a phenomenal Fates call. It hit 3 members. Again, I think the big issue is this Alawi was allowed to stay alive for so darn long. It's all the healing that they have, and there's no anti-heal on the side of the Seals. I would assume that Yon's probably going to be picking it up, but with a shield bow in his inventory, I don't imagine he's got too much money left for an anti-heal item. Caitlyn did manage to pick up an Executioner's Calling, though, which is good. That is another step in the right direction, but Caitlyn's very, very squishy. And if Quantum can find their way onto this Caitlyn, that is going to make a lot of headaches for the side of the Seals. Allowing looking to make some noise bot lane, as the bot laners are going to rotate up to this top side. Probably shoving off this Yon. That's going to be Vi engaging onto Yon. Can they actually find the kill this time? Not quite. That's a big investment from the Yon, though. Let's take a look here. I mean, the siege is going to be pretty deadly on this top tower, if I had to say so myself. Quantum. Can they push this down? They don't have as much range as in the Caitlyn, but at the same time, I do think that they are going to be quite happy with 2 Baron-empowered cannon minions. Just a matter of time before it does fall, and Victor able to get a nice shot. He's going to crack the plating, but they need to respect this Fates call. We've seen what DXBS can do with it in their hands, and I think they're primed to do it again. Victor stepping up is going to find a trap, though. Has to zone is immediately as that tower gets dropped. That's it's a big save tool from the Victor that has been expended, but Dragon up at 2 minutes. I think the play now is to just go reset and try to make sure that they can get this Dragon, because if Seals is able to grab it, that is going to be soul point for them, and that could be their way into this game. I don't think their poke game is relatively strong. I mean, obviously Caitlyn has some pretty nice poke in the form of her auto attacks, but I think the poke game is going to favor Quantum once again. And if they get this Hex-type Dragon, that is going to be so much extra damage that they can deal with. Or so much extra damage they can deal. Jack's going to be found, though. Does get hit by the Q. By the Braum Q, that is. Biting Frost. But nothing to come of it. Yeah, the map's going to be slowing down once again, but as we take a look at the items, again, this Caitlyn is a problem. They have Rapid Fire Cannon, they've got Hex Optics, they've got Infinity Edge, they have so many really strong items that can, basically just keep them safe and keep them doing tons of damage very, very easily in these fights. So if she's not dealt with very early, that is going to be a lot of problems made. But with everyone kind of grouping up for this Alawi, I think that this is going to be a pretty free Dragon. It's only got 50 seconds left. And everyone's on that top side. They are pushing in mid and bot as well, so it's going to force some rotates. But I think this Alawi is going to be the next target. They do have the Stark's Gauge now, so that's going to be a little bit of extra shielding for them. But Jack's in the back. They're looking to crack this tower. They're looking to kill this Alawi. Finally, that is going to be the engage from the O. That is going to be the counter stun from the Jax. The ulti is going to come out, but that's a really, really nice fate to end. And that's going to be a kill on the Leona anyways. You can't dive the Alawi. That's Derek's popped as well, but that's so much invested. That's so many people top lane. And Quantum, they're sieging your bot lane tower. You've got to get back immediately. Lisandro's going to do all they can, but at the end of the day, they can't stop all 4 members from pushing. And it's going to be a free Dragon, I would assume so anyways, as that's another big kill from the side of Chocolate Bear. I don't know how he's finding these kills. They're just giving it to him. But it's amazing for the Alawi at this point. There's so much that they've been able to do in this game. And again, no one on the top dive, aside from the Caitlyn, had any anti-heal. And the Caitlyn wasn't even able to tag Alawi all that much. It's going to be a free Dragon, and this could be a repeat of game number 1. Quantum is looking so insanely ahead here. They've got 5k up, but I think that their champions are significantly stronger than the gold graphs lead up to be. I honestly want to say that Quantum just want to end here. They just want to go for a big team fight. They know Alawi's strong. Even in a 4v1 under tower, Alawi is not very easy to kill. And I think if this Alawi does join up, and if they can pick off this Caitlyn, the Alawi will just not have any way to die in these fights. That being said, though, the extra attack speed and ability haste from the Hextech Soul is going to be very, very nice, especially for someone like Alawi, who does benefit from both extremely well. But yeah, it's going to be looking pretty darn tough from the side of Seals. They need to keep funneling gold into this Caitlyn ASAP, because if she can get... Oh, geez, I'm not too sure what that is going to be. I want to say... Ooh. Oh, I don't really know ADC items. I want to say that Lord Doms wouldn't be too bad here. A lot of these champions have a lot of armor. Braum gives armor as well, but regardless, we are going to see Jax hang around the mid lane, looking for an engage. Actually, if it gets found by the Braum, is this going to be a Binding Frost? It is forced to the control ward. Are they going to look for it, though? I don't think they can. That is going to be the root from Lizandra. That is going to be the ulti from the Varus. Can they actually pop it before? That's going to be the first two expended down to the bottom of the fight. That is Red Sharky almost by the dust, but Lizandra gets pulled back. They have the Zodius, and I do think that they're going to die pretty easily. Eclipse is going to be committed. Red Sharky dives in there completely fearless. Still has the Guardian Angel online, but Fox has to back up there as they are a little bit out of place now. Vi healing up. I mean, we're seeing the Yone come in hot once again. Can they find anything? Not quite. Gravity well expended. That's going to be so much damage onto their Spirit. Vi looking for an angle here. Actually gets the Assault Battery onto the Yone. And that's going to be so much damage, but they are going to drop it instead. And that's going to be a lot of fights. That's going to be a nice engage from the Leona to be a little bit of a nuisance, but it's not going to matter. That's going to be a nice flash from the Braum. Is that going to be the kill onto the Jax as they're chasing them down? They're running them down. Not enough folk to kill off the Leona, unfortunately. And they are just going to continue whacking away at this tower. Caitlyn ulti for the troubles is going to do a little bit of damage, but at the end of the day, I think this is Quantum's game to win here. They've got 30 seconds until the Yone's online. No fate sealed. Fox getting another inhibitor to their name, and it's going to be a call to back up here. They just want to go Baron. They just want to keep it simple. Maybe recall and spend their gold, but at this point, they have first move on literally whatever they choose. This is going to be a very, very nice power play for them. Fox being able to Houdini out of there from that recall position, but man, oh man, looking at these items, we're seeing the Lissandra pick up on the Shadow Flame, which is definitely very, very strong. I want to say that it's going to be a Death Stance in Yone's inventory. You know, that you've got the Noxian emblem, which is basically got Death Stance written all over it. It looks like that Alawi is going to be going, pardon me, for the random zone, which is absolutely a very valuable item, right? You've got two champions that critically strike. I don't think you really build crit on Jax. I know that at one time there was a very funny crit Jax build out there, but I don't think it is going to be super meta at this point. But regardless, Random Zone definitely a very good pickup. In the Varus' inventory, though, he's got a lot of mixed damage in the form of that Rage Blade as well as Terminus. Gives him some nice damage with the Static Shift, but we'll get to that later as Jax gets found by two members of Quantum. Now they're looking to get this fight going as this Yone has to try to deal with the Alawi bot lane. There's, like, the Yone has to win against the Alawi, otherwise this is going to just be Quantum favored every day of the week. And maybe they are going to start off this Baron call here. This Chocolate Bear already gets the turret. Now for Seals, they have to do something. They cannot sit idle, otherwise this Alawi will take their base, and they are going to look for it. Jax is thinking about it. Lissandra trying to claw in, but this is going to be the fight to end the game or save the game if you are the Seals. I mean, they're going to be going for it. That's a nice three-man roof from the Lissandra. It's so much damage. It's so much area control. Everyone's dying. Red Sharky gets dropped. No more Guardian Angel in the back, but Char's still alive. Gets peeped away by the Caitlyn. Sniped, in fact. And, I mean, everyone's dead. The Braum is dead. No one's left to peel the Varus. They don't get any kills. And that is a big, big fight for the Seals. They have a way back into this game. They are going to have to recall to try to win this one. I mean, we're seeing the animal sounds spammed in chat. I won't be doing that myself, but if Seals can win, I will absolutely make the Seal sound. So come on, Seals, you've got to bring this one back. You've got to have more fight left in you. I mean, at this point, everyone's eyes are on this, I almost said Quantum Dragon, on this Hextech Dragon. This is soul point for Quantum. They cannot give this. And with everyone dead, I do think that Seals are going to look for this soul point on themselves, which is going to be a nice bonus. Definitely going to put Quantum in a bit of a tough situation, but importantly, Baron still up. Quantum could look to take it, or Seals could look to take it. We're not too sure just yet. But I think if you are Quantum, you're going to want to get that as soon as possible. As everyone's starting to get to their late game power spikes, and this is what I was saying at the very start of the game, I do really like Seals' comp for the late game. You know, Jax is easily one of the late game staples of the game, having some of the best scaling in, I mean, just in terms of items and levels in general. Yone as well, extremely strong. Caitlyn as well, extremely strong. Victor is pretty darn strong in the late game, but at the end of the day, I think I do favor the Caitlyn over the Victor in terms of sheer damage they could deal. Regardless, Quantum looking to start this one up. They have to make their move fast because this Jax is closing in and he's opting to push mid, which is very fair. They do have to apply the pressure, but Victor cannot be gone on. They cannot be found here. TP coming out from the Yone as well. It's going to be a call to stop the Baron. They don't want to do it. Again, Outrage. If he finds a way into this fight, that is going to be wrapped. They've found so many really good routes from their Ws in previous times. That is going to be the engage from the Yone. They're going to try to make this allow it do something, though, but Baron already starting to whack away at Quantum. They are going to try to engage the fight here. Singular Bread gets stunned up. Is that going to be the kill? No, not quite. That is going to be a big bunch of damage, and Jax finds the way onto the Varus once again. And look at this, Vi going to try to make anything happen against Chrome alone, but it's not going to happen. Victor as well, though, going to try to make a bunch of area damage, but Alawi in the back a little bit tardy to the party as Fox gets whittled down by the Ice Maiden herself. Same with Leona, and that is going to be a free Baron for the side of Seals. That's a really big play for the Seals. I mean, come on. They've just got to make this happen. If they can keep Chocolate Bar off of this Baron, that is definitely going to be a lot of damage. Ooh, Chocolate Bear, apologies, looking for it, and they do get picked off, but wait a minute, Singular Bread could be next. They did get their TP canceled. And now Char just going to look to run them down. Chocolate Bear just going to do the ring around the Rosie and is going to find the Leona. Yeah, that's going to be a very dead Leona. So honestly, a bit of a consultation prize, but the Baron has been taken, if I'm not mistaken, and it was taken for Seals. They have 3 Barons left, and that's not too bad. If you are Quantum, though, now you're starting to sweat because at this point, I mean, you know, one of the things that the players were telling me is they kind of struggle in the late game. Early game is very good for them. They do an amazing job, and I think we saw that very clearly in map number 1. But again, they struggle in the late game. They just kind of fumble the bag, as it were. And I think we're starting to see that here with a very strong opening for the side of Quantum. But at this point, Seals are really turning the tables. Again, their comp is made for late game. And with 2 minutes on this next dragon, if Quantum is able to secure it, I think they're going to be okay. If Seals are able to secure it, they will win the game, in my opinion. Because it's just it's so much extra damage, it's so much extra attack speed, and they've got 4 of these dragons. If they're able to get sold, that is 4 of these dragons. I think that's 16% attack speed and 16 ability haste. Like, that's really good. That's a lot of extra attack speed, especially if you're a Jax, especially if you're a Yone, especially if you're a Caitlyn that builds so much attack speed. It's so much extra damage that you could deal. And I think with the way that Quantum is building right now, they're just not meant to take it. I mean, Braum having a Frozen Heart, that's very nice. Cancels out, I believe it's 20% attack speed, which is a big damage drop. But at the same time, this Varus, he's picking up a Jock Show. Honestly, I respect the buy. I just don't think that they're alive very long, long enough to stack it up, that is. But Lysandra, though, again, this guy is absolutely insane. Outrage has found so many unique angles onto this team of Quantum and has gotten so many amazing multi-member routes. Same with the Frozen Tombs. They've been quite clutch on that, but looks like the Seals are just looking to hunt here. They want to get into this jungle. They want to try to get something done and find a pick so they can secure this dragon. That's up in 40 seconds. If they can just get 1 pick, this will be theirs. But if I think if the Seals can hang on, this is going to be a very easy fight for them. I think it's generally favored, and they have so much follow-up. They have so much engage. And it's going to be very hard for Quantum. That being said, Vi in the back line is going to try to make something happen, though. I don't think they know that they're there, but the sweeper will reveal all. Now Jax looking for the buy. He's going to get the engaged Red Shark. No Guardian Angel has to force the fly. Wait just a moment. Singular Bread a little bit out of place. Maybe that is going to be the kill. Maybe this is the opener that they need. Varus people wait. He can't deal enough damage. He's going to be turned on by 3 members. Stops immediately. And now, I mean, Nyson is able to stay alive. That's going to be another big root for the side of Outrage once again. I mean, the Victor is just left to flash away, but will die to the Caitlyn. This is the scaling that they need. The Seals are able to get back in it once again. And now this is going to be a free, very free Baron Soul, or sorry, Dragon Soul, my goodness, for the side of the Seals. This is their way back in. They've got this now. They do have this in the bag, unless Quantum can somehow pull this one out of the hat. I don't think it's possible, but it is still there. Seals, you've just got yourself a game number 3 on your hands. This is, I mean, it's looking pretty darn rough for the side of Quantum. They had such a strong start, and now they're just fumbling the bag, as they said in the interview. And now, I mean, you've really got a question: are they going to be? Are they going to continue this trend and be 0-7 in this league starting off, or are they going to break the curse? Are they finally going to listen to the coach and break the curse and finally get the first win? It's just a matter of time here, but it is going to be a call to back up for the side of Seals. They don't want to overplay their hand, so it does make quite a bit of sense. Rather choosing to not stick around too much. But at the same time, you got to understand that if the Seals get one unlucky fight, I think it is going to be wraps for them, because at this point, the death timer is going to be so long that it's, again, if you die at this point, at this stage in the game, you're basically dead for the rest of it. I think it's just going to be a call to just wait for another Baron to come up here. But Super Minions spawning for the side of the Seals. This is going to be some nice pushing power in their favor, but I mean, Red Sharky gonna be trying to find anything, but they get kidnapped. Oh no! They have the Guardian Angel, but they need so much more than that to stay alive. They are gonna resurrect. Chocolate Bear gonna be trying to come in here. That's a Glacial Fissure, but it is a little late. That's a nice Eclipse onto 2, but now Yone's coming in hot from the back. This is gonna be the fight to end the game, unless the Alawi can go absolutely bonkers here. Victor gets gone on by the Jax. They are gonna get dropped down. Chocolate Bear gonna try to peel this ADC. It's not gonna work, and now the Alawi is the last alive, pretty much. Char, that maybe they can make something crazy happen. Maybe they can get Nissan off the board, but it's just not going to happen. And now Chocolate Bear just going to be caught here by the Fate's Call. Not quite. Does have to force the flash. Pops the Randomins. Can they actually get away? Maybe they can, but the Ice Claw is going to find it. And no, they can't. And Char is the last alive again. This has to be it, Seals. You cannot fumble this one. You've got this game in the bag. You have to push mid or top or something all together and tie this game up with a pretty little bow. Quantum, you failed. You fumbled once again. The Chaos Storm going to come out, but it's not going to find too much value. He's going to get some minions, but that's really about it. The Seals are able to take a second inhib for free. They have to back off here. This Baron, 2 seconds until it's alive. Seals, you've got to take this Baron. You've got to win this fight. Otherwise, Quantum is just going to run away with the game. But if you are Quantum, you can't afford any mistakes now. You have to play these next fights perfectly. You have to realize that Outrage is so insanely good at getting onto your carries that Nacian is able to get onto your carries as well. They have so many ways onto this Varus, and the Varus just has no answers. Not even full build yet. But the Caitlyn certainly is, and that's a lot of damage onto the Baron already. I think that is going to be the Baron. This has to be the game-ending push coming in hot here for the Seals. That's taken down. No, I mean, the Smite is going to be used, but no Smite needed, as the Jax is just going to back up, probably for a potion or two, before this game is tied up with their name on it. Big fight coming in hot here. Alawi, what have you got for us? You've been a little bit lackluster in the past couple fights. You know, you haven't been showing up as much, and now your team, they need you desperately. You cannot be split pushing anymore. And Seals, I mean, they're just trying to keep this Minion alive just so we can peep away at that tower. They know that if they engage first, it will be lost, because at this point, Quantum still has a tower to stay behind. But is this going to be the final fight of the game is the question. I thought the last fight was going to be, but it's not. Quantum is still held on very, very strong. And at this point, Seals, you've got to break this tower. You've got to get into this base. You need to do something. Red Sharky, no Guardian Angel. Still on cooldown. They need to try to make something happen here. They are going to look for the engage. That is going to be a nice Alawi E onto the Lissandra. It is going to push them back just a little bit here, but the bot lane tower, or the bot lane inhibitor has been destroyed. That is. Lissandra is forced to back. I do think that they could TP back, which is going to make this a little bit easier. They're going to teleport top, actually, which is going to force the rotates. Now, Jax maybe caught out alone. Not going to be gone on just yet. Gonna pop the counter-strike just to be sure. It's so tense here, but the Yone's pushing bot side. They have Char locked up as well. I do think that if Yone hits ulti, they can kill off this Victor easily, but Jack's going to open up with the counter-strike. Not going to go for it. Outrage. Not going to go for it either. They're looking for this Varus. They have to find him with some kind of engage. That's a Varus ulti that has been expelled as well. That's not going to find any picks. That's going to be a very, very hard fight here as the Counter-Strike is going to be winding up again. This Alawi is going to be gone on. They do pop the tentacle grab once again. Can they get a nice ulti off to the can? It does get used, but it gets used the wrong time. Azonius from the Lissandra is going to keep the safe, but Chocolate Bear not so lucky. They do manage to survive, though. That's a nice pick from the side of Quantum. Can they keep this, or will they fumble it once again? Seals, you've got to destroy this inhib. That's the triple inhib spawn. I mean, Red Sharky flashes forward. Maybe does not have enough mana, though, on the side of two. That's a beautiful clip onto both, and that's a big stuff from Jax. Can they actually turn this around? Yone is just not dying, but they're doing so much damage. Caitlyn left unchecked as well. They will be able to peep down absolutely everyone. Varus does manage to revive, but it's just going to feed another kill. That's going to be a triple kill for the side of Chrome alone, if I'm not mistaken. Just kidding, the Leona is going to take it. But man, oh man, that's a lot of damage from the side of the Seals. They are going to be taking us to a game number 3. This is doable. Again, Quantum. I mean, arf, arf, arf. There we go. I said I would make the seal noise at the end of the game if they did manage to win, and they did absolutely do it. And again, that was absolutely phenomenal from the side of the Seals. Again, they pulled that game up from the brink of defeat several times. What a comeback is what we can say at this point. Like, that is all that was. It was a pure, absolute, unfiltered comeback, and that was absolutely crazy from the Seals. Once again, I can't say it enough, man. There were so many awesome picks, and again, oh my goodness gracious, why can I not remember their name? The Lissandra outreach, oh my god, I'm gonna stop saying that. I'm very tired right now, but I, all this action is keeping me hyped up. But that Lissandra found so many angles onto this team. They just, I mean, wow. They caught them off guard so many times, but of course this Caitlyn scaled way out of control. 63,000 damage to their name. That is more damage than 60% of the of Quantum's team right then and there. And the gold graph says it all. Look at that. It was going all blue, but then it just went completely red. And it was just a big descent from the bottom. See, Quantum, you've had it early on. But now you've got a big question to answer. Can you break this 0-6 curse that you've got going on, or will you fall once again? We'll have to find out in just a little bit. So make sure you tune back in just a few minutes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We saw a crazy map at number 2 where the Seal Enjoyers were able to pull back from the brink of defeat many, many times and ended up taking the victory against Quantum. They had a very strong start, but let's cut to the draft here. Pardon me. We're seeing some very strong picks here. I do really favor the side of the Seal Enjoyers because Alistar, definitely one of my favorite champions. Smaller as well, basically made for the late game. And as we talked about earlier in game number 2, that's generally where the Team Quantum does fall short. They're really good in the early game, but the late game is where they struggle. So I do think that the Smaller is definitely a very good pickup. I think they have kind of done their research a little bit here. So I do like it quite a bit, but again, it's time to lock back in here. They've got to figure this one out. Quantum, again, you're 0-6 in this tournament. You've got to break the curse. And I feel like now is such a good opportunity. Had such a strong showing in map number 1. I think it's time that you just take it home. But again, at this point, are you doomed to repeat history? Are the flashbacks coming back from every game that you've played, or is now a new day? It is time to find out here. And starting off with this draft, Jake's Lulu is pretty darn solid. I mean, it's a stock standard comp here. Same with the Sejuani. Works very, very well with the Lulu. Sejuani just dashes in, Lulu hugifies, and that's basically a budget battle fight ultimate. So that's pretty darn good as well. But the catch potential from Sejuani with, of course, that Iceborne Mallet, whatever that thing is called, the big thing that goes whoosh, and it stuns you up. That is very, very good. The only thing that I will hope for is that Quantum drafts more melee attackers because Sejuani does not attack very fast on her own, and in order to really make use of that passive, you need some other melee auto attackers. Silas picked up for the side of the Seal Enjoyers, definitely a very potent pick. I would imagine that's jungle. I mean, we have kind of seen some Silas's top. Let's consult the notebook here. Is that a Silas jungle for the side of Seals? Yes, it is. Nazen plays the Silas quite a bit, actually. In the top lane here, to my knowledge, does not. They play some more tanky champions, but Ornn going to be taken for Quantum. That's interesting. It is certainly a melee attacker, which does work with the Sejuani, but not a very fast melee attacker. That being said, the Ornn upgrades are nothing to scoff at, and I do think that it is a good late game pardon me, a very good late game option because as we kind of saw in that last game, there was a lot of times where Quantum looked like they had the edge, but then they weren't able to end the game because or sorry, they weren't able to get the competitive edge because their items fell short. They weren't able to get a little bit more oomph that they needed. And so the Ornn maybe is going to give them that, but last pick going to be given to, again, I assume that the Silas is a jungle, so I'm going to assume that oh my goodness, that this is a last pick for the top lane, and that is a Mundo. No way. And actually, you know what? I will drop this as well. A little bit of a tidbit of information I did get is the top lane for the side of the Seals idolizes Mundo and is a butcher in real life. And they just love Dr. Mundo. They aspire to be Dr. Mundo. So I'm a little bit scared of them. Truthfully, I'm a little bit scared. They are a butcher and they want to be Dr. Mundo. So I hope I don't see them in real life. But like I'm thinking that they're going to be very happy with this Mundo pick. Again, it's a spicy matchup. Into the Ornn, I'm not too sure who wins that, but I do think that the Mundo passive is certainly very valuable against the Ornn combo and CC and all the lockdown that he's got. Again, mid lane, every single time that I've said it's not going to be anything crazy, it does end up being very, very explosive. So we'll see how much the Vex can abuse this Syndra and down to the bot lane. I assume it's going to be a snoozer because we have Jinx who wants to scale. We have Smolder who wants to scale, Lulu who counters, engages, and Alistar who is an engaged champion. I think he's just going to leave lane and let Smolder do his thing. But you'll have to see us in just a couple of minutes here. We've got more esports action, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back after a very, very quick little break with Game 3. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the final game in, pardon me, in this series. We got Quantum going head-to-head against the Seals for the last time. This is a very important match because Quantum, you're now 0-6 in this tournament. Are you going to be 0-7, or is this going to be your very first win? As you take a look at the Lizard for a little bit of good luck, the Seals have made a very strong comeback in the second game. Can they keep that momentum going, or are they going to fall to the Curse Breakers of Quantum? Type your votes in the chat, but here we go. Starting off up at the top lane, we've got Ornn versus the Dr. Mundo. I do think it's going to be Ornn favored just because Dr. Mundo's early game is absolutely horrendous. In the jungle, we've got Sylas versus Sejuani. That is a very interesting jungle matchup that we don't see a crazy amount of. In the mid lane, we've got the Vex going head-to-head against Syndra. And then down to the bot lane, we've got a very classic duo of the Jinx and Lulu going up against a very new duo of the Smolder Alistar. It's hard to say where this lane goes, but I am going to say that it is going to favor the Lulu just because she is ranged and she is going to be able to abuse the Alistar very, very easily. And as predicted in the Champ Select, mid lane is going to be a bit of a slaughter fest. You know, these two mid laners are very aggressive. And man, oh man, they're doing quite a bit of damage to each other already. Up in the top lane, though, I would assume this is going to be pretty chill because the Butcher himself, the top laner, DXBS, which he is a Butcher in real life, by the way, just want to let you know that, he idolizes Mundo, and I think that he is going to probably run away with this lane a little bit. You know, once he gets a few levels, gets that level 6 online, he will be very happy with that. But Ornn as well, I respect the start of just the health potion. This is honestly what a lot of people were running when Ornn was released. You would just go refillable pots or just like 5 health potions and then just go to lane. No Doran's item, no nothing. You would just take health potions and just hope for the best. And honestly, there was I remember reading a thing a while ago where it said that it was actually more effective to just build rejuve beads, especially on someone like Ornn who already has high health regeneration. But whether or not that's true, I could not tell you for the life of me. But regardless, we're going to try to hold this wave here. Just going to be getting a little bit of damage on the Mundo, but has to be careful because those cleavers hurt really, really bad. You know, it does a lot of damage. It does a surprising amount of damage and max health damage too. So you definitely don't want to get caught by that if you are, I mean, really anyone, but especially not a tank. But regardless, here we go. I mean, we just got to see how this bot lane turns out because this is the real big, you know, this is the real big thing for me because when it comes to bot lane carries, I mean, up at the top side, TXPS has just killed off Chocolate Bear. Maybe he's better on the Alawi, but look at that flash engage from the Alistar. He's going to find the Lulu, force the flash away. Can they kill off the Alistar? If the Jinx can get excited, this could be a very bad fight. Nice on. He's going to be turned on now. He gets stunned up by the Sejuani. How is the Lulu not dead? It doesn't matter. Chrome alone is going to try to finish this one out. Tries to get a sneaky Smolder W, and that is going to be a triple kill for the Jinx. What started off as a very strong start for the side of the Seals turned into a very strong start for the side of Quantum. That is absolutely huge. Getting those 3 kills on the Jinx. Now 1,000 gold up on the Smolder. Only 3 minutes in. That's a little ridiculous. This first back for Jinx is going to be pretty nutty. Going to be the pickaxe and longest sword. That's a lot of damage on this Jinx. That minigun is going to hurt quite a bit. And the Smolder only on a call and a Doran's Helm. Honestly, pretty... I mean, I like the buy quite a bit from the Smolder, but at the same time, if you are this Jinx, you're going to be really, really happy with that one. Vex just looking to help the Sejuani here, but Alistar as well. It's a very tough matchup for Alistar because... Right, honestly, melee versus ranged, it is going to be ranged favorite inherently. The nice upside is that once Alistar hits level 6, if the Seals want to dive, they can just dive. Like, it doesn't really matter what Quantum can throw at them. The Alistar can just take the tower, and he'll be completely fine. Like, he will just straight up not care, and Quantum will probably die for it, but I can't quite say. Alistar is going to be a level down, which is what's important. You know, Alistar... He's a very interesting champion. He becomes a full champion at level 2. He becomes a scarier champion at level 3. And he hits kind of his main power at level 6. I mean, obviously, he does have some really nice just flat level scaling with his abilities. But in general, those are the big power spikes of the big cowman. And you kind of have to play around those. And that's it. You know, if you fall behind in XP, you're going to be falling behind for a very long time. So it's a very hard matchup. But regardless... we are going to see the Alistar just try to take a recall here. Could be going up top lane to kill off Chocolate Bear, and honestly, with Silas positioning towards top side as well, this is probably going to be a very free gank, I won't lie to you. Ornn looking to hit the minions, is going to try to trade with the Dr. Muda, but has to try to dash away. Is it going to be possible? Yes. And now it's just going to be a very slow, painful death for the Ornn. Not able to get away, unfortunately. It's down to the bot lane, though. Dragon going to be started. You know, the jungler's position is noted, and you know, one thing I do want to say is Quantum really ran away with the game once they got these first 2 dragons up by 11 minutes. And, you know, that was from game number 1, at least. And with the way it's going right now, Quantum looks to be on pace to get these 2 dragons up by 11 minutes as well. Nysen did a very good job in that Jax game of kind of pulling it back in their lead regardless. They spent a lot less time trying to look for these ganks and just kind of farmed, you know, play to the champion strengths, do really well. Down to the bot lane though, bit of a trade going on to the Jinx. It's not someone you want to trade into right now. She's got 2 long swords, apologies, as well as a pickaxe, and Alistar is still running around the map. The Smolder is having an awful time. They just have to recall. They're going to be giving more tower plates to the Jinx, which is definitely not ideal. You know, this is going to be a nice big turret play here. I want to say that's going to be Navori quick plates that are going to be picked up. Or no, sorry, not quick plates. Yuntao picked up for the Jinx first because she's going to have so much free time to stack it. But we're actually going to be seeing a rare support jungle invade on this blue buff, which is going to catch the Sejuani off guard. I don't think they've realized what's going on here. Silas just going to take that blue buff pretty darn easily. Nothing too crazy there. But it's going to look to make the Sejuani very, very poor by taking the rest of their jungle camps. Moving on to that Gromp now is going to create some big, big question marks here. Sejuani going for the Wolves camp, but I don't think they've realized that there's 2 people in their jungle already. Gets the stun on it and does get the smite. I don't actually know if that went to her, but she is hopefully going to evade this gank. Is it going to happen? Vex is here to make it happen, though. Gets a bit of a fear, but the stun is going to be a little bit of counter synergy. That's a nice chain from the Silas. Can they keep on going? No, they can't, as Fox is coming around here. Ornn as well. He's going to be caught into a bad spot. That's a nice Sejuani ult. Ult to the Silas is not going to mean anything, though, as he has to flash away. Now the Ornn ulti is here, and it is going to be very big and scary. Does hit the mid laner. Can they transition this onto anything? That's a nice polymorph into a Vex ulti, but they do get away with the flash, but is it going to be enough? No, it's not. Can they get return? No, they can't. And the Vex is going to keep on going to the Alistar. That's a double kill. Well, not quite a double kill, but it's 2 kills for the side of Quantum, up 5-2 against the Seals. This is a very good start if you are the side of Quantum. And now, I mean, this mid lane tower going to be pushed a little bit. They're going to try to get a plate down, but over here in the bot lane, this Jinx is having a very easy time against the Smolder, who's, again, a few component items down. They are a little bit tankier with that Doran's Helm, but at the end of the day, this is, it's very, very Jinx's favorite. They have 3 kills to their name. They've got the quiver, the new quiver in hand. They've got the Force Potion as well if they need it. But Alistar gonna make their way bot lane. Still level 3. That's not great. It's not the worst thing in the world because the Silas is up in levels against the Sejuani, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, you know, jungler for support, catch up XP, maybe it's not awful, but at the same time, you do really want to protect this Smolder because it's a very, very powerful champion if you give it stacks. And I feel like it just has to be protected here because right now, it can't quite find a lot of stacks against the Jinx because she pushes so fast and she's a lot stronger than the Smolder, I would assume. And with the Lulu pushing up aggressively here, it's a really nice trade. Tower probably not going to be hit here because you can't really push against an Alistar unless you are Jinx. You can kind of go in for 1 rocket and then that's it. Because Alistar can very easily get you onto that tower. We've already seen the cow insect before on the Lulu where they flash forward with the pulverize, knock it back with a headbutt, and then that's it. Now you're under tower or in the middle of the enemy team. There's a bunch of different ways it could go bad for you. But Sejuani gonna get on these grubs once again. Can they actually find it is the question as Silas is creeping around. I think they've noted the position of Sejuani, but maybe they haven't. They're walking right by them. At the same time, up at the top lane, I mean, these 2 top laners are just going to be farming away on each other. But Silas is looking for these wolves, but he's not going to find anything. But Lulu is probably going to find them very, very soon, as I do believe all 3 grubs are taken by the side of Quantum. Now, the look at this are on the Silas now. Can they actually find the kills? They could, honestly. That is going to be a Vex ulti onto that. That's a nice polymorph as well. But a nice scout of the week is going to find 2. But Alistar, they're still super squishy. They don't have any ulti. They can't bring the CC. They're going to go down to Red Sharky once again. And now Nysen sent running for the hills with their Syndra. And up at the top lane, there's still, I mean, nothing's really going on there. Let's go back to bot lane or something like that. There's a lot of action going on there with the Jinx going head to head against the Smolder. Now on that Hex Optics, very strong pickup. Lulu gonna try to make something happen here, but can't quite find it. Again, Alistar still down a level, lacks that ulti. Doesn't have a lot of fighting power right now. This game kind of slows down just a little bit. I do want to take a look at this Mundo, who's had relatively a free lane. They can kind of build whatever they want and be a-okay, but the triple Giant's Belt start is a straight Alois move. I mean, come on, guys. That just has to be ripped straight from an Alois video. It's just got to be, right? You know, push, 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 the triple Doran's Belt. I wonder, you know, it's not a Heartsteel right off the bat because, you know, Heartsteel is, I think it's Catalyst into 2 Giant's Belts. So definitely not, or not Catalyst, apologies. It's the regen item, you know what I mean, right? It's that weird little thing that goes with 2 Giant's Belts to make the Heartsteel, but it is probably going to be transitioning into a Warmogs, is what I would assume that Giant's Belt is for. Over in the mid lane, though, we are going to see Sejuani kind of teeing up a gank here on the Syndra, but it's not going to happen. They're choosing to not reveal their hand just yet, as some enemies might walk into their line of sight anyways. Nothing quite yet. I feel like we're on the cusp of a fight here. Up at the top lane, they're going to start trading as well. But of course, the Mundo, the money man Mundo, is very hard to trade into. But down to the bot lane, the fight is going on. Something's going on here. I can't quite see it at the moment. But there we go. That's a nice stun. Oh, over up at the top lane as well. Going to be forcing the ulti out of the Mundo, as well as the Ornn. Can it make anything happen? It's a lot of damage, but can they get the kill? Not quite. They can. Chocolate Bear takes it once again. And now this dragon as well is very, very free. That's going to be the Rocket Belt for the Silence, which is a nice item spike, but you need a little bit more firepower if you want to overcome this very early lead that Quantum has built, and that's going to be the second dragon. 12.5 minutes for Quantum. That's pretty darn good. Up 5 kills, which is pretty insane. But the Smolder as well, been able to stay alive quite a bit, as Alistar is now going to make their way into this fight, but again, can't quite make it. Still not level 6 if I'm not mistaken. That's actually not too good, I'm not gonna lie. It is 12 minutes, you should be level 6 at this point, but you know, just level 6 off a couple minutes, that's gonna be putting them back in terms of power. And you know what, at the same time, Smolder is level 9, whereas the Jinx only level 8. Maybe it's worth, maybe it's not, I can't quite say, but at the same time, you do just want to make sure that the Smolder does have a really, really nice lane. Size as well, continuing to take the top side of the Sejuani. The CS lead is actually not too crazy, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it would be a lot higher, but the important thing to note is that Silas does have the huge buy. Oh, never mind. It no longer has the huge Vi. I was going to say that they do have the huge Vi, so they would be pretty darn good in the instance that Sejuani comes and checks and says, hey, you're taking my jungle. You could just say, yeah, well, hugify, and be completely fine. That being said, is going to hover over towards the mid lane, is going to try to get the Syndra back online because they've had, I mean, it's not a rough lane, but yeah, you know what, they're fine. They're doing good. They're up in CS. They're up in gold. They're chilling. Level 11, not too bad, not too bad. This is about what you could ask for in terms of stable mid lanes, because even though we've seen these two mid laners go head to head very many times, they, you know, they're pretty chill in this game. Maybe they've run out of steam a little bit, but Alistar up top lane still looking to get these roams off. But down to the bot lane, though, Smolder going to get aggressive, as that's a nice scout of the week from the Syndra. Is going to save herself with that hugify, and now that's going to be a teleport in from the Vex. This is going to be the kill, I would assume. Jake's going to be flashing forward for a nice kill on to that Syndra. That's going to be a very nice kill onto the Smolder as well. Can the Vex get away? Yes, she can. That's going to be first tower for Quantum as well. That's definitely a very, very big boost of gold to the Jinx. 2.7k up on the Smolder. That's not what you want to see if you are the side of the Seals. Up at the top lane, though, you're honestly not too disappointed with this top lane matchup. EXBS, not quite at that heart steal just yet, but would be looking at that soon, I would imagine. Sylas though has that Sejuani ulti. Can they grab it? Yes, they can. And Syndra going to be coming in as well for a very easy kill. Now, Sejuani just barely out of that pulverized combo range from the Alistar. Unless they walk back into it, maybe this is going to be a kill, but no. Just going to be a call to back off. But this Jinx is definitely very, very huge. Picks up a Phantom Dancer as well. I would assume that an Infinity Edge is going to be next on the chopping block for the Jinx. That is going to basically double our damage low-key. I don't think people really build rapid fire on Jinx anymore. I know a while ago, like back when I started playing, that was one of the main builds, is you would go rapid fire on Jinx for that extra kind of range attack, and then just kind of play to poke a little bit, but it has been quite a bit since I started playing, so I don't think that's going to be too popular anymore. That being said, top lane is in a bit of a weird state. Mundo is taking the wave every which way, going exactly where he pleases. He's going to keep this Ornn a little bit on the back foot, trying to set up a gank for the Sylas, who is still ransacking the Sejuani's jungle. Ornn going in for a bit of a trade, but I don't think it's going to go in his favor. As Mundo could be staring at a kill angle, a bit of a solo bolo. Rift Herald is up, importantly, and I do think that Seals probably want to take this. Because if they don't, this Jinx is going to be able to turn 2 towers into 1. Oh, never mind. Ornn going to be found with the ulti. He's going to return the ulti, though. Gets a nice clap onto the Sylas. He's going to be able to follow up from Sejuani. Unfortunately, no kills just yet, but can they actually get away? That's a nice start for the Sejuani, but the Jinx Rocket does miss. And now Ornn coming in hot, but they don't have a knockup. Does manage to get the kill anyways. So no Mundo ulti online as well, but the Jinx is up here too. This is not what you want to see if you are the top laner. You thought it was an island, but now it's a party, and that is going to be another kill to the Jinx. That's awful. That is absolutely terrible. It's a heartbreak. You don't even get the Ornn either. It's not so good, and over the Vex, it's going to be a very quick assassination onto the Smolder, and now things are going from bad to worse. For the side of the Seals, you've got no way back into this game. You have to shut down this Jinx, but she's just so hard to shut down. She's almost 3,000 gold up on Chrome alone. Oh no, is the only thing that I can imagine the Seals are saying right now, as the Rift Herald is going to fall to this Jinx once again, and with the Dragon up in a couple seconds, I think that Seals are going to have the first move, but for the side of Quantum, they can very, very easily set up a lose-lose situation where they just drop the Herald mid and then go take Dragon. And now as Seals, you got to pick. Do you want to just destroy the Herald, or do you want to go kill the Dragon, or contest it rather? Because this Jinx is so strong. Now they've been able to back, picking up a last Whisper. Is probably going to be looking at that Lord Dominic's, which is going to be doing a ridiculous amount of damage at this point in the game. So it's hard to say where this goes, but Sejuani maybe looking at the Smolder once again, can't quite find the engage, but that Rift Herald gonna find the mid tower, not quite fallen yet, but it is gonna get a lot of damage off. That's a nice scout of the week, though. Is gonna kick off this fight, I would imagine, but Char as well has a very nice ulti to kind of counter engage. I would say Quantum does have the inner tracks towards the Dragon, so that means that they are going to be able to take it very, very for free. Whereas Seals, I mean, they can get a mid tower, which is not bad. They are going to try to move upwards and try to take whatever jungle they can, but at this point, they cannot fight anyone from Quantum. They have to go as all 5 and play a numbers advantage, because this Alistar is kind of going to be the main engage for the team. You know, sure, Sylas can engage, but he's not as tanky. Mundo can definitely engage, but he doesn't have any CC. Alistar has to be the playmaker here for this team, because again, Jinx is very immobile. She has to flash away from this pulverized combo, otherwise Sylas is just going to jump onto her, and Mundo is just going to ult and just, you know, just kind of walk at her, and it will be enough to kill her, essentially. But mid tower going to go down, but wait just a moment. This is Syndra is going to be hit by a nice Sejuani ulti. No, not quite a kill for the Jinx, but it's definitely going to be a lot of damage. That is going to be forcing the flash out from Sejuani, so they're going to get away, but now this Lulu is going to be the main target, I would assume. Alistar not pulling the trigger just yet. Sylas, though, going to be able to take that Vex ulti for himself now. Gonna give that a try. It's another very, very good push for the side of Quantum. They got what they needed. They got a tower, almost got a second and a couple kills to boot. But it looks like they might want to transition this Jinx top lane. I wouldn't be surprised, and just continue funneling her turret plates, because if she can get madly ahead and, you know, kind of keep shutting down the Smolder, this is going to be a very, very easy way for Quantum to just kind of run away with this game. That being said, all the attention up towards this top side. As Silas is also looking at this place, at this lane, with Sejuani close behind. I would imagine that they're going to be setting up a 3v3 here. Alistar, oh, that's a nice ulti from that, from the Silas. Is not going to be found by the Alistar, actually. But, I mean, wait just a moment. Maybe the Silas overcooked it a little bit on the engage. The Jinx is saying, hey, I'm fine, don't worry about it. But the team is looking to respond. This could be a very deadly crunch for the top side of the Seals. Are they going to have it, though? Not quite. They will give up a tower, which is very, very important because, again, this Jinx has gotten so much gold. She's got 10,000 pretty well at 20 minutes. That's like 500 gold a minute. That's not too bad, especially for a very late game focused carry. That's actually really, really insane. Where Smolder, not quite as fortunate. I don't know, he's stuck top lane with the rest of his team. He's going to try to pick up any stacks that they can, but it's so hard. Ornn down to the bot side, though, trying to make something happen. He's doing a fair bit of damage, I won't lie, but Mundo actually opting to not go for the Heartsteel first. I thought that you would go Heartsteel first every hour of the day, but it looks like maybe I was wrong. Okay. Regardless, that Warmogs is going to be putting in work as they do pick up some Swifties as well to make themselves a little bit faster and just to hit a little bit harder once they do pop that ulti, you know, kind of start bolting at Mach 2 towards this Jinx. They will be able to blow them up in just a matter of a couple auto attacks. But this Jinx is still very happy with the game state as of right now. Again, basically completely untouched on the side of the Seals. You know, they don't really have a good way onto her. I mean, they do have the Alistar, which again I think has to be the playmaker here, but he has not been able to approach this Jinx very easily. As the Jinx is still working on that Lord Doms, I would assume maybe it is going to be an Infinity Edge. You know, maybe they stop building it and just kind of keep the component for Infinity Edge. But regardless, we are going to see Jinx, I want to say pivot towards the top side, but there's not really any farm on the map. I think you just back here, let Ornn go top lane, and just kind of reset the waves. But at the same time, we are seeing a lot of posturing from Seals over towards this mid bot side, top side of the river. I feel like you want to have your Jinx here just because she can do so much damage. Has the ulti online as well, which is a nice big bunch of damage. But we're looking at a flank from the Sejuani here. They're trying to look for the Smolder. Can they find it off the bat? Not quite. Nothing gonna happen. We could have seen the ulti committed, but they're not gonna look for it, as Silas does have a Sejuani ultimate of their own, which is not gonna be ideal to play against, to say the least. Ornn upgrades could start to be coming out, though, which is gonna be very, very critical. Maybe a Baron take is going to be in the cards. I think this is actually quite a good move from Quantum because, you know, they have soul points as well. And this dragon is just spawning. So now it's forcing the Seals to choose between giving them Baron or giving them soul point. Or an ulti going to be popped as well. Can they find the Smolder? Yes, they can. That's going to be a very dead dragon as the Vex finds their way onto the Smolder. They are dead before the fight even starts. And the Jinx is going to start hammering away, getting two times as excited with Red Sharky picking up that mid laner kill. Opting for the soul now instead of the Baron. I could see the vision here. They might go for the Baron as well, because Jinx is incredibly strong at this point. They have so much damage. They have the Lord Doms as well. No one can survive against them. And no tabbies on the side of the Seals. That being said, even the Silas is heading for the hills away from this Jinx because of how strong she is at this point. Which some of you don't see every day. You know, usually Silas can turn an ADC into a big bag of gold in a matter of 2 seconds flat, especially with a very tanky champion's ulti, like the Sejuani ulti, or a Malphite ulti, or a Mundo ulti. Like, there's a lot that they can use to really kill off an ADC extremely fast, but Seems like this game is a bit of an exception, though. Not Briar. Vex down in the bot lane. He's going to have some trouble as they do get engaged on by this Alistar and the Sylas. Do they actually manage to survive? I don't think so. That's going to be the flash used as well. Simply exhaust is going to be enough. Maybe not, but the fear is nice, though. But that's a good insect from the cow, which is going to bring her back into the clutches of Sylas for a nice little kill. Definitely very good if you are Alistar, kind of bringing the KD back a little bit, but there's a lot of bot lane presence. And I think for Quantum, they're perfectly happy, you know, sacking another kill on their mid laner just to try to get this tower down. Either that or maybe pivot topside, because this Mundo's backing. I don't think you could do Baron with a numbers disadvantage. If you didn't show on the map, maybe you could sneak it, but it looks like maybe they're going to posture towards it anyways. I don't think they should, but it looks like they are going to go for it. Is Outrage still on the bottom side of the map? He's looking to keep pushing. Does have TP available, though. So if there is a fight to be started, they can respond in a couple seconds. But in general, I think Quantum is just happy to maybe poke and prod for information here. Sejuani smells something going into the water, and I think they smell beef a little bit. Alistar going to make themselves known with a knockback, or an ulti going to be committed as well. This could be a nice kill onto the Alistar, which would be the playmaker down. That's a double Sejuani on the Venn diagram of ice, and Victor grabs the kill on the Alistar. Is a very nice pickup, but look at the damage from the Syndra. Forces that huge fight on the Lulu, but importantly, that was just the Lulu, not the Jinx. So Jinx is going to be very, very healthy heading into this fight if there is a fight to be had. But importantly, Hugify has been expended. That's a lot of extra health that Jinx can't get anymore. That's a nice free knock-up too. So it's going to be pretty hard for Jinx to deal with that. But I think at the moment they will be A-okay. It's a hard call to see where everything goes, but taking a look at the items once again, this Vex is incredibly strong. They've got the Shadow Flame online as well. Jinx, I would hope that that's going to be an Infinity Edge, because that's really going to make Jinx start to pop off. Lulu as well. You know, I'm intrigued that they didn't go Echoes of Helia. You know, usually it's a pretty powerful item, especially on these supports that can very quickly stack it, because, you know, don't quote me on this one, but I'm pretty sure if you put Pix on an ally, and then that ally hits someone and Pix activates, I think that counts as your damage, and it can stack Echoes of Helia. I'm pretty sure that's how that works, but I'm not 100% sure, you know, don't quote me on that. Maybe Lulu isn't the best Echoes holder either. Maybe they want to pick up Mikhail's, but regardless of what it is, they're doing a good job. Regardless, Fox is definitely very comfortable on this champion. 0013 this time, with Victor's being 7-1. That's a very powerful Jinx. It's a very powerful support duo, and with the Moonstone as well, he's going to make this a lot easier to deal with. As we look at where this game is going right now, Baron is up. I know for a fact that Quantum wants to posture for it. They've got the bot wave pushing in. They've got the mid wave being pushed in as well. Top wave, he's being dealt with by the Mundo, but I don't think that really matters a whole lot. You know, they've got 2 out of 3 lanes. That is going to be the go sign. I'm pretty sure the Seals know that they're on it, but I don't think they can really stop them at this point. They have so much damage. This Baron is already at half health at this point, and they just got onto it. That being said, though, they could have a bit of a counter engage coming in here. The Ornn going to pop the ulti. He's going to note the position of the Sylas, so they cannot even try for a steal. That is some great foresight, and they're just going to try to force this one down. Alistar gets hit. That's going to be a nice Sejuani ult. Can they find anything? Not quite, but the Smolder, though, is going to be the point of contention. Or the Syndra, apologies. That is going to be taken down immediately. Smolder sent running for the hills. Can the Vex find it? I think they found it, actually, but I can't be too sure. I'm going to guess not. Otherwise, I think they would have gone in there. But Baron secured for the side of Quantum. That is definitely what they want. And now this Ornn upgrade is going to be coming out onto the Lulu. I would assume that that's for the Shirelias, if not the Moonstone. Which is definitely a nice upgrade. Gives her some nice stats, but typically, and again, maybe this is my you know, more traditional support brain coming out. I feel like you want to just upgrade Locket every time. Or again, maybe that's just me misremembering from when Ornn was released, but not every item had an Ornn upgrade. But regardless, Alistar unfortunately bites the dust from this Jinx, who's just completely run away with the game. In him down at 30 minutes. It's not looking good. Mundo's still not super duper strong yet. And Jake's no Infinity Edge. Importantly, no Infinity Edge. But Silas with a nice Ward ulti is going to find the carry, but nothing else happens. You know, Scout of the Week is used as well. That's a very nice Shirelius to get out of danger. You know what? Maybe I was dogging on it a little too much. I think that genuinely just saved Quantum there. Silas going to keep on hunting, though. But wait, Sejuani's actually going to be going in. That's going to be the counter or ultimate. That's going to be hitting onto 3 people. And Silas just barely survives. But wait, that's going to be a big engage for the Vex. And the Mundo ulti is going to be popped, but it's to no avail. You can't survive. I take it back. You can survive, actually. But the point is that the Jinx is now excited. They're looking for more. And with the Baron-empowered super minion, the tower's not going down. But you've already lost a member. That's a big knockup for the Alistar, though. Can the cow make something happen? Sejuani gets dropped, but now the Jinx is looking for more. They have to get a kill. If they can get excited, this is going to be the fight over for them. I mean, but wait, Mundo coming in hot, though. They go where they please, and Alistar again with a very nice engage. Is not going to survive for very long, but will get the kill. And now that's a triple kill for the Smolder. Can they get a quadra kill? Who took the Penta? Silas took the Penta, but that's still a great turnaround from the Seals. But at the same time, Infinity Edge online for Jinx. This does give them a little bit of breathing room, but at the same time, I do think that that was the nail in the coffin for the side of the Seals. You can only ARF so many times until it just goes until it's just cooked, as they say. But man, oh man, it's definitely some good stacks for Smolder, but I think they're going to need a little bit more, as this Elder Dragon is going to be started. They actually have a really good angle on this. I'm not going to lie. A lot of members are coming back, but I don't think they can get there in time to steal. The Elder Dragon's already dropped down to 10,000 health. Even with the Smolder there, too. Wait just a moment. Seals might have this one in the bag. If they can get that Elder buff, that's going to be absolutely massive. Oh, that is going to be the Elder for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Jinx Rocket just a little too late. And now Quantum, are you going to choke once again in the late game? As we start to hit that 30-minute mark, we will be seeing the full power of these champions start to come online. Mundo did get a lot of stacks, a lot of Heartsteel stacks off of that last fight that did just happen, so maybe this is the answer they're looking for. Now Jinx just gonna keep farming up a little bit, somehow not full build, despite being 15,000 gold, and you know, only 1,000 gold ahead of Chrome alone, which is a pretty big feat, honestly, for Chrome alone, because they were previously down a bunch of gold. But look at this Silas walking into a bush blind. That's not going to be very good. Pops the Sejuani, but there's no follow-up. They have to be careful of this. Jinx, that's a counter set. That's the counter Sedge ulti. That's going to be the kill onto Victor, and now this game is super losable for the Seals. Look at that. They are super losable for Quantum, as the Seals have found a way back. This Elder buff is absolutely critical for them. I mean, this is going to be the next, like, a minute and a little bit for the side of the Seals. They can do whatever they want. The Jinx is down. That's so much money taken out of the hands of, again, I keep wanting to say CLG, of, Quantum here. Now Ornn has to back up here. They need to protect with their team, but this tower is gone. It's gone immediately. It Seals once again. They can pull this one back. Is this going to be another huge comeback arc? Once again, I mean, maybe it is doable. Baron up in a minute as well, which does kind of line up very nicely with the buff. Oh my goodness, with the Elder Dragon buff expiring for the Seals. They can kind of transition from one to the other pretty darn comfortably, I would say. This is going to be a little bit risky, though. Sejuani, you kind of overestimated yourself last time. You're a tanky champion, don't get it twisted, but you're not that tanky when you're staring down. Oh, wait a minute. Ornn looking for something, though. Then maybe they find the Alistar, but the Scouter for the Weak is going to interrupt them. But they still have the Bear buff. They've got 5 seconds left of this thing. They have to kill people now. That's a nice hugify from the Silas, but now the Ornn ulti is going to be popped onto the Silas, but he has to zone just. They're going to lose the Sejuani pretty easily, but now the Mundo is in, and if the Jinx can find the first kill of the fight, maybe this is going to be doable, but they just don't do enough damage, and Mundo's coming back hot and bigger than ever. And look at that. It's just a complete ace from the side of the Seals. They've done it. They have done it. This is game. There is nothing left for, oh my goodness, for, I want to say cursed, but because they are cursed, I can't believe it, but Quantum, they've lost it. They had such a phenomenal opening. They had such a phenomenal mid game, but now none of it matters. The Smolder is up in gold. That has to be the end there. They're down for another 15 seconds. They're just spending it down mid. They have everything. They have the tower. They're going to get the inhibitor. It's absolute insanity. But Seals, they've done it again. They have avoided losing once more. And wow, only Red Sharky alive for this one. And that was absolutely crazy. What a game. Oh my goodness, my voice is cracking from how much that was. Oh my goodness. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I could say that enough, but like that was absolutely crazy. Wow. I mean, whew. Again, I'm still trying to process that one, but we had so many good opportunities from the side of Quantum, and it just didn't matter. Again, look at this Jinx. They were primed to win the game. They had 40k damage in their repertoire, but it just didn't matter. They could not take it. Again, it was that Elder buff that really threw them off. And maybe that fight, after Baron, where they just kind of fed a Quadra kill the Smolder, maybe that was the nail in the coffin. But man, oh man, that was quite a game. And honestly, you know what? I am going to have to give it to the Alistar, right? A lot of people were doubting the Alistar. They were down in levels. They were down for quite a long time. But honestly, at the end of the day, they did exactly what they needed to. And the gold graph says it all. It's just like a repeat of game number 2. The second that the game goes later, Quantum, they succumb to the curse, as it were. They aren't able to play the late game. They're amazing in the early game, absolutely phenomenal. But the late game, they are challenged. And man, oh man. They've been proven once again that they will unfortunately not beat the curse this time. But that being said, they are now 0-7, which is going to be an 0-7 from me. Big salutes. But 7 is a lucky number. Maybe this is the time where their luck starts to turn around. You'll just have to tune in next time when we have these guys back on. So stay up to date. Ember Esports on all your favorite social media channels, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. My name is Gareth, and I think we'll be out in just a couple minutes here. But man, oh man, I mean, what a comeback from the side of the Seals. I think that the mono definitely had something to do with it. They started popping off quite a bit in the later parts of that game, but very well played from both teams. But anyway, I'm going to be done yammering. Thank you all so much for tuning in and enjoying the stream. Thank you so much for production, for doing all this amazing stuff. Thank you to the players for playing your hardest, and I think I'm going to be taking it out for the night. I'll catch you all later. I'm outie.